Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
After 36 grueling weeks of competition, it is time to bring the NASCAR iRacing Series to a close, and what a better way to cap off than racing here at the virtual Phoenix Raceway. Welcome to the iRacing special event, the Phoenix finale from the virtual Phoenix Raceway here on RaceSpotTV. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Jay Laveris. Alongside me is the bad man, Terry Radford, as we get ready to go racing here for the final time in the NASCAR iRacing season, as the championship has been locked up in both the Fixed Series as well as also in the NASCAR Cup Series earlier today, and it was an stellar, exciting racing action to see all throughout the week here, racing in the virtual Phoenix Raceway and in the real world. Terry, we're getting ready to see some exciting competition here tonight. Some big names competing in tonight's race.
Yeah, there's a ton of good drivers in here. Some getting practice for leagues that they're in. Some are just out here to have some fun. A lot of drivers doing what they normally do and just coming out here and competing at a high level. 37 drivers. Going to be it's a stacked field. I mean, some of the best are out here with the highest I ratings across the platform. This is going to be pretty cool. 312 laps.
It really is going to be exciting to see. Of course, this is the Fixed Series. This is the last race of their season. So the setup that they're using is the iRacing Fixed setup that is utilized that every one of these drivers will have. So it's all going to be based on skill level. With that, let's go ahead and give you your starting lineup. And it's Kwame Scott from New York with a 27.177, who will be on the pole, with James Milbosher in second place. Jack Cohn and Nathan Lyons will be in row number 2, with Brandon Wilkinson and Justin Lowry rounding off in row number 3. 7th and 8th is going to be Matthew Chaffee and Chase Schaefer, with Nicholas Patovich and Jacob Patak in rounding out your top 10. Sean Rogers, William Bosford will be in 11th and 12th. 13th position will be Jonathan Jordan and Jonathan Atkins in 14th. Wally Wilson and Jacob Klein in the row number 8, with eNASCAR former competitor Jake Matheson and Agnell Phillips rounding out row number 9. In row 10, we'll find Noel Furgo and Zach Lindgren, with Jose Carlos Izquierdo and Matt Coker in 22nd. V8 Supercar champion Shane Van Gisbergen joins us here in the world of iRacing, with Renato Pastigo in 24th. Michael Meredith will be in 25th, with Joseph Burton Harris in 26th, Christian Markellis and Adam Benefield in 28th. Johnny McNamara and Jaden Porter round out in row 15. 31st will be Kevin Adams, with Justin Keebler in 32nd, Aaron Brown and Tyler Gunter in 33rd and 34th. And riding shotgun in the fields will be Caleb Gilbert and Kenneth Dakey Jr., and Chuck Turner from the Northwest Club will be in 37. 37 of some of the biggest names and up-and-coming future stars in eNASCAR competition racing here tonight, as Benny the Pace Car driver pulls off as they make the long stretch. Track conditions, a little bit cooler conditions here right now, but partly cloudy. Same thing we saw earlier today in the real-life NASCAR season finale there, Terry.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers attack the track in cool temps. Rubber's going to get laid down. We're about to go green.
And Barney the Flag Man will wave the green flag as we are racing for the last race of the NASCAR iRacing season finale here at Phoenix, and already drivers going down to the bottom of the racetrack as they head off into turn number 1.
You see everybody trying to get everything on the restart here. You saw this kind of correlate from the Cup Series itself, where you have to get down, take 3 or 4 positions, try to get as much track position. Don't let the dirty air affect your race early.
Right now, it is the number 22 machine of Kwame Scott who is trying to hold on to the race lead right now. But as they come across the line, it'll be James Milbachler who will lead lap number 1 and already working his way up to the field. Caution is out for one driver. It looks like Wally Wilson involved in this, as we are already 1 lap in and already the caution out here on lap number 2.
Yeah, we'll take a look and see what happened there. Everybody kind of moving around on the restart there. You saw people getting squirrely on the apron, coming back up.
Like to be the 69 machine, or car number 21 on timing and scoring, who had an issue looping it around as the pace car is off. No one gets collected up in it, but the 69 will go for a little bit of a ride here today. Here's a look at the replay. Coming off of turn 4, just hits a little bit of that curbing and loops it around. Doesn't collect anyone. How about some great heads-up driving for everyone else around him?
Yeah, surprisingly enough, yeah, we haven't seen that when a driver gets right there on that little banked area and kind of just spins it on his own.
Certainly does, but after that, we already have a new race leader. James Milbachler will take over the race lead from Kwame Scott in that top spot. Nathan Lyons is trying to see if he can work his way up to the field. He sits in 4th, Brandon Wilkinson 3rd, as those two are trying to figure out who will have that 3rd position. Chase Schaefer rounding out your top 5 at this moment as we are under caution for our first time. Jerry, though, 312 laps is a long lap racing here around this circuit. What are some of the keys that drivers need to realize of how to negotiate through this, and what strategies could we possibly see here tonight?
Well, you're going to have to be patient. I mean, you got 312 laps. While that seems like it's a long race, it's kind of short at this racetrack. I mean, you'll turn lap times a little bit down in the 27s, 26s early, 28s late, but I would expect, with no stages, no guaranteed cautions, that we're going to go about 95-ish laps on fuel. You'll come down, take tires, and if we do get a caution, you'll start seeing a lot more people take the opportunity to come down pit road.
Certainly will see that happening here. A couple of cars decided to come down pit road. Drivers such as Caleb Gilbert, Jake Matheson, Shane Van Gisberg, Brandon Wilkinson, Johnny McNamara, Kenneth Dacke Jr., Renato Pastigo, and Jaden Porter have all decided to come down pit road, as there we see the Georgia native, Caleb Gilbert, coming off onto the racing circuit after his pit stop has been completed, as the field should be getting the 1-to-go signal next time by.
Yeah, they got the one to go signal here, so we'll get ready to turn them loose again. It's cool to see a lot of these drivers out here from all over the planet racing this fixed NIS race. Even though the championship was kind of locked up, it was kind of decided coming into this week. We understood who it would have been. It's cool to see people still running the one, and there was like 150 people signed up before we got the top split here.
It certainly was. To give an idea of who wrapped up the NASCAR iRacing Series Fixed Championship, we'll touch back on that here a little later on, as we are about to get ready to go back racing here today. Green flag is out, and we're back racing here at Phoenix Raceway, and it's going to be Milbachler and Kwame Scott who are going to race their way off into turn number 1 down to the bottom of the racetrack. Milbachler will hold on to that position.
Hey, you watched Lyons right there in the 9. He actually got down, cut the nose of the 3 when they cut. Car in the wall. That Schaefer, the 35, kind of botched it off the exit there. But you're seeing a lot of drivers actually cutting that dog leg just a tad bit more than what you saw in the real world side of it. The damage here is not scrubbing any speed. It's not taking any downforce away from these cars. It's kind of allowing them to travel the inside of the dog leg, which is going to be entertaining to see who cuts it the best to get up here and maybe move somebody out of the groove.
It's going to be interesting to see how that will play out here, and watching them work down the back straightaway, keeping an eye on Chase Schaefer in that number 35 machine, trying to find his way around Kwame Scott for that third position. Meanwhile, Nathan Lyons has moved up a spot. Lyons, of course, a former NASCAR competitor, as Field works their way off into turn one. Not a whole lot of drivers going below that yellow line here in the early stages, like you pointed out during the Cup race, Terry. What are some things, maybe a reason why? Could it be the handling of their cars due to the fact that this is a fixed setup and that car is not really best for going that low into the corners here at this circuit?
Well, I mean, it's also going to be the grip in the tires. You're going to see drivers, obviously they're going to cut the dog leg, but driving around here, the fixed set hasn't really allowed that. The tires have to wear a little bit more before you start seeing the shifting come into play even harder to jump down below the apron. Now, the open sets, you're down there almost the entire time. At least I was personally. I would run under the yellow all the way around. I would cut it as much as possible and try to get as much speed and time out of that car as possible. But it's interesting to see what Schaefer did there. Caught the wall, was able to jump past Lyons again to move into P2. And he's actually putting down some very fast lap times. He was faster that last time by than our race leader.
Currently, right now, it is Chase Schaefer's who is the fastest car out there on the track, just setting it last time by. And then he's got, of course, Nathan Lyons, who ran the almost identical lap times here. As we move a little further back to the number 5 of Justin Lowry running in 9th. He's trying to hold off Jonathan Juradin in 10th position. He's trying to also chase down Noel Vergero, who is in the 8th spot. Noel trying to have a good run here in his number 8 Chevrolet. It's been a very exciting season if you have the chance to compete in either the NASCAR iRacing fixed or open categories here this season. As it, of course, was an exciting season from start to finish, as we've seen drivers from all across the world go out here and have a chance to compete in this championship. Drivers are now working their way across the start-finish line. 300 laps to go for your competitors here, as we watch Noel from Canada trying to get a good run through here and see what he can accomplish during this stage of the race.
But, you know, when you talk about all walks of life going, as you see Schaefer, he's getting past James here in the 6th. I'm not going to try to say that last name. When you talk about the NIS series and you talk about all the walks of life on iRacing, that's what makes this platform so great. You saw there was somebody here from Iberia. This is you got Canada, you got America, you have all sorts of countries, states across the United States and in the world broadcasting this and racing in this. To compete with them for a championship, you never know. You know, when you're up at about 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, there's people that are on this service right now racing this at, like, I don't know what's Australian for Shane Van Gisbergen at the time. It's a little late or early over there, depends on who you are. But you see Canada right here. This platform is just so amazing.
Just in this 2022 NASCAR iRacing Series fixed setups championship, 11,246 drivers went out and competed during this entire 36-week campaign. Of course, the champion overall for this championship was, of course, our NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion, Casey Kerwin, who took home the championship. Garrett Maines, Brian Persky rounded out your top 3, then Michael Guest and Malik Ray, your top 5 in this amazing run. Even though it's not as prestigious as the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, to go out here and race 36 consecutive weeks, if you get the chance to do so, and run similar races and distances like the NASCAR Cup Series, this is a great opportunity for drivers. And not only that, but there's also the Xfinity and Truck Series that these drivers can also go and follow the same similar schedules like we see in the real world.
Yeah, and I mean, this for drivers who don't make it to the Coke Series, right? For the drivers that say they just go out here and they run leagues, well, you mirror the exact same races as a lot of other people's. As you see Jacob Klein right here in the 19th position, he's right here fighting. I believe that would be the one machine below him. But, I mean, if you come out here for 36 weeks, you're dedicated to this series. You're dedicated to what you do. This is like running a league within a league, but you're competing against random people. You don't know who's going to run NIS that week, right? You randomly go in here on a Friday or a Saturday, and you're like, man, who's going to run NIS? And you run into your buddy, and they're like, oh, I've never thought you'd run this, but here they are. And you got to be dedicated to this. I like the open side better. I find that more suitable and it seems to be a whole lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, to say you race with Casey Curran and all the Cup Series drivers, and you might have had a chance to beat them sometime during the season, that means a lot for a lot of drivers on this service.
It really is. As we watch them rocket off into turn number 3 there, you see the number 3 machine of Kwame Scott, who's trying to work his way up through the field. The New York native driver having a good run in the early stages right now, as we keep an eye on his run to the finish. Looking to see where some of our drivers who are competing have finished off in this championship so far. As we go a little further back there, you see that's the number 10 machine of Zach Lindgren, who's sitting inside that position as he's trying to work his way further up. Zach Lindgren in the 17th position, trying to hold off Matt Coker, who is currently getting his way up to the field. Zach Lindgren, though, had a pretty decent season. After 33 starts, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and even didn't get a chance to pick up a full an average finish of 13th in each race he competed in. So really good season for him so far, but looking to see if he can improve in 2023.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned Matt Coker in here. Every time I get a C open or a C fix and I see his name pop up on the sheet, we go into the same lobby, I know I'm just like, I'm going to run second or third. He's too fast. He's got a lot of horsepower in there and a lot of know-how. And to see him back here in 16, it's kind of surprising. You know, I expect to see him a little bit more up in the front. Then I look up the board, I see Agnell Phillip in here, runs on RSR. Shameless plug for tomorrow night's championship race at 9 o'clock here on Race Spot. But he's not competing for the championship, but he has an opportunity to come out here. He is competing for the championship. He has a chance to win and beat Kevin King, who's actually competing in FTF's championship tonight.
Matt Coker, touching on him, he competed in 26 weeks, 47 starts for him, picked up 6 wins, 16 top 5s, and 17th was his average finish each race that he entered in. He's currently 31st in the standings right now. So a couple of good heavy hitters throughout this field right here as we watch this gaggle of cars working their way across the start-finish line. A good run that we're having so far here in the early stages as Agnell Phillips and Matthew Chaffee will be battling for 11th. We watch them work their way through 1 and 2.
Yeah, you saw Agnell make that pass down there on the bottom, and that's where you're going to see this racetrack kind of widen out throughout this run. I was watching a little bit of practice when it was an open practice, and everybody was out there to see what kind of lines everybody was going to run. At first, you didn't see a whole lot of people cutting that dog leg. You saw people keeping it on the racetrack, but the outside was working similar to what the Cup race was. You saw a lot of people getting loose off of 2. Which isn't surprising. It gets hot, it gets slippery, the back tires want to wiggle out from under you, and you're shifting so constant. If you kind of gear up too quick, you let the back 2 tires spin a little bit more, it's going to keep that rear end sliding more and more. But drivers are side by side all the way through this field. I mean, we're no short of racing with 25 laps on the board.
Certainly watching this kit here has this battle towards the mid-pack of the group, having a good run as Jonathan Atkins falling down the timing and scoring. He's going to loop it around. No caution. He keeps it below out of the racing group, but keeps on racing here. We're going to stay green flag as we watch the 19 machine now working his way down to the inside. That's Joseph Burton Harris from Australia, and he's been having a really fun season as well. He's only had 26 starts out of the 8 weeks he's competed, but out of those 26 starts, 2 of those were wins, 8 top 5s, 6 poles, and an average finish of 18th position. So a really good run, and out of all the Australians that he have competed in the NASCAR iRacing Series, he currently sits in the 6th position out of those drivers. Shane Van Gisbergen, one of the other Australian natives here racing, 3 weeks he started, 4 starts, picked up a win, 2 top 5s, and an average finish of 15.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the point of that's what makes iRacing so great. There's a lot of different platforms out there, whether it's console or whether it's online gaming, and you have a whole lot of competition from a lot of different places. You see the pass right here. Scott's going to get past the 6 in that 3 machine. The 6 is starting to slide back a tad bit. You're seeing him being he's a little bobbly. The car's really not settled in the racetrack. He's holding the bottom, but he kind of slid up a little bit out of the groove, and he's allowing Lyons now to wrap that outside, get the momentum through turns 2. You see the 69s around. There's more sliding going on in the back, but what a save. I believe that's the 33 machine or the 36 that holds that. Now you got Lyons. He gets around James up here in the 6. Battles all over the place, and man, hopefully this is better than the Coke 600.
It certainly is some great racing action here as more drivers are just trying to find that needed grip around this circuit as we watch the 9 machine in and amongst this battle. That's Nathan Lyons trying to hold on for that 3rd position behind Kwame Scott and James Milbachler. And, of course, Chase Schaefer, well, he's checked out to about a 1.3 second lead over Scott, Lyons, and Milbachler, who hold off your top 4. Jack Kahn going has trouble for the 9 machine.
Oh, and that's a part of why people don't go down there below that dog leg there. Is save it again, saved it 3 times in 1 lap, lost a ton of momentum, but still somehow sitting in the 4th place position. When you dip it down there and you actually go below that line, it really upsets the car, it upsets the trucks, it upsets the B cars here this weekend. If you hit it at the wrong place and you kind of catch it at a weird angle, you'll see that back end start to kick. And he slid. I mean, he slid through the whole dog leg, went into turn 2, slid some more. Somehow, he's still running this race.
He certainly is, as we are watching the battle for 22nd between Justin Keebler and Brandon Wilkinson. Throw in a little bit further back as we now go up to 14 machine. That is Sean Rogers and Nicholas Patovich, who are battling for the 11th spot, trying to hunt down Matt Coker in the top 10. As we ride on board currently, I believe Jose Carlos, who is holding strong, the Iberia Club native, 6 seconds back from your race leader, as he is in a hornet's nest of drivers in this field. Jake Matheson also in there in the mix.
Yeah, he's got the 14 and the 1 behind him, and he's holding his own, just sitting here in that 12th place position. Not really the speed to get up there and compete a little higher. He got passed by the 12 of Coker and the 36 of Rogers, who just a little while ago was a little bit sideways there, but has worked his way up through this field. Just kind of plateaued where he's at, but look at the paint scheme on that 13 for a second. That's an interesting style there. From that machine. That thing looks pretty good. Is that Shane Van Gisbergen?
That is Shane Van Gisbergen in the 13 machine, as he's throwing it back to the Earnhardt family. In his Chevrolet, he's in 18th, 8 seconds back, and running some very fast lap times right now. In fact, he's running almost faster than your race leader currently at this time. He was a little over a 10th faster last time by than your race leader as he's trying to work his way up through the field. Of course, he does have a little bit fresher tires than your race leader. Not by much, though, as they work their way to the inside of the 37, as he will move up into 17th and sets his sights on William Bosford, who is holding the 16th spot.
Yeah, no surprise that the guy who runs in Monday Night Racing's up here having a good run. They don't really run a whole lot of the next-gen cars in Monday Night Racing. I know they kick their season off tomorrow night, I do believe, and I think they're running. I believe they're running with the car off tomorrow night. So I can't wait to see if Shane goes out there and competes in that. I know a lot of people will be tuned into Podium to see what they got going on in that spot. But he's driving through this field. He's all the way up. I believe that was a pass for the 16th position, and he started far in the back. I don't think he put a qualifying time down, and he's boogieing. Coker's boogieing to the front. As the 23 goes around in front of him, that's Binfield. Adam, hang on to her, buddy. Oh, he spins her on pit road.
And no caution. We're going to keep it clean and green, but the number 23 not having what he wants. He's going to go ahead and take a tow and head over to his pit box. Will he continue? I don't know. As the 6 machine of Milbachler scrapes the wall off turn 4 as he continues to hold that 3rd position over Kwame Scott and Nathan Lyons in amongst the drivers he's battling with, as here comes the 5 of Justin Lowry closing in on this battle.
Yeah, Lowry's got a good run here on Lyons. You saw Lyons, he kind of scrubbed the good out of his tires when he got loose in the dog leg and then got loose again in 2, loose again in 3. So Lowry's doing what he's got to do in that 5 machine to work his way up here. He'll pull away. It should be not easily, but he should pull away on the longer run once we get up here at about 45 laps. But this has been a very clean and consistent race so far from these drivers. I think this shows you that they've got a concept now of, after 36 races, of what this next-gen car could provide.
It really is. Of course, the iRacing Phoenix Finale special event as part of an amazing 22 event calendar filled of special, historical, and significant racing events all across the world. Of course, it kicked off in January with the iRacing Roar at Daytona, utilizing GT4, touring cars, and MX-5s. Currently, this is, I believe, the 19th out of the 22 rounds left. There is still 3 more special events to come here, 2 in the month of November, 1 in December. In fact, this coming week is going to be the Suzuka 10 Hours, utilizing GT3 cars, the Winter Derby, utilizing super late models at Five Flag Speedway, and then, of course, the Chili Bowl happening in December. So still some great racing action all across the circuit.
Yeah, I don't know what I got to do to get on that Chili Bowl action. That I watched it last year and thought it was fun, but these special events are very cool. I actually made my RaceSpot debut. I said it on Twitter a little earlier that my RaceSpot debut was Daytona with Arjuna and Evan, and then I only missed one this year. So out of the special events for the NASCAR side, I missed Bristol, and then I get to finish up the season with this one. So very cool. Of all the things that happen on the iRacing platform that we see, the special events get brought to light. It's just Agnell Phillip right here going under Nathan Lyons. This has been a good battle, kind of shaped up the past 2 laps. You see Agnell, he goes to the bottom, cuts that dog leg, and he's got dirty air in front of him. The same thing with the 9 machine. These two are going to have to figure out what line's going to work the best. You see the 6, he's going to jump to the middle, and it's almost going to be 3 wide off the exit.
It is going to be almost 3 wide as these drivers are trying to jockey for position. Agnell Phillips trying to close in this battle for position. He'll look to the inside of the Milbacher machine as Ford versus Chevy coming off of turn number 4, and it's going to be Phillips who will take the spot away and cross over the start-finish line, slides up in front, and shuts the door as he moves out as we are under caution for the second time here tonight. Don't know what for, because I don't see really any trouble. As we do have some trouble as Milbacher loops it almost off turn number 2.
Yeah, I saw a ton of smoke up there. As you see the 32, that's Kenneth Jr. He spins and just barely caught his tires in the racing line. That triggered our caution here this afternoon. They've been kind of lenient so far when it came to cautions. If you spin, not in the racing groove, well, they'll let it slide. It'll no harm, no foul. We'll pretend like it didn't happen, and then you'll keep going. But shameless plug again. If Agnell Phillips running this good here in this race with this level of competition, I cannot wait for tomorrow night for the RSR Championship race to see if he can keep that momentum up and go into that event and maybe hold off a guy like Kevin King and a lot of the other guys that are going for it.
We'll have to find out. Tune in on RaceSpot to see the RSR season finale at Phoenix Raceway as everyone's coming down pit road in order to make their way into their pit boxes. As we do have 2 retirements so far, it is Adam Benefield and Jacob Patak, who are going to be finishing 36th and 37th here. As everyone is trying to get into their pit box, they go up onto the jacks. As we'll see who wins the race off of pit road. We're waiting to see if Kwame Scott can do it, or will someone else beat him off as they come across the start-finish line. It will be Justin Keebler who wins the race off pit road. Then it's going to be Chase Schaefer. Then Agnell Phillips, Nathan Lyon, James Milbacher, and Kwame Scott will come out in 6th position.
Yeah, that was a bad entry, bad pit stop for the 3 machine. As I believe the 28 might have taken 2 tires there.
I think he actually missed his pit stall because he is showing not entering into his box.
Yeah, I don't see a stop. I just see a 30-second pit lane there. But did Kwame Scott showing 17.1 is what he's showing for his stop time. So damage possibly for that machine, but I wouldn't imagine where he would have got damage from. He pretty much he's dominated this race so far.
He certainly has been, but he has been in a couple of close calls throughout this race here. As we'll wait and see if Justin Keebler will be able to come down pit road in order to get his number 28 machine fully serviced with some fuel and a fresh set of tires. As the drivers here tonight do have 9 sets of tires to utilize. Will we see every single set of tires used here tonight, Terry?
I hope not. We'll be here forever if they are.
Through that indeed, as we do see now Justin Keebler come down to utilize those fresh set of tires and fuel to continue on his way in this race. 46 out of the 312 laps on the board, as we still have a long way to go here. We're happy to have you with us here on RaceSpotTV, as we're looking to see who are some of the biggest movers after this round of cautions. It was Justin Keebler, but unfortunately with him coming down pit road, that will change. Agno Phillips, 18th to 3rd. The 21st position of Jose Carlos Izquierdo, he started 21st, is now running 9th. Jake Matheson, 17th to 10th. Shane Van Gisbergen from 23rd to 11th. And of course, that will all change here. They'll all move up at least one extra position. So a couple of big movers and shakers here happening for drivers as they are now getting ready to double back up. And we're about to go back racing here at Phoenix.
Yeah, I got a lot of passing. That's something I didn't expect to see. Kind of thought that people who qualified up front would stay up there. I didn't expect to see a whole lot of people driving from the back to the front, but I think we need to watch out. I think our guy Shane Van Gisbergen, he might be the guy there in 10th that'll come up here and spoil this party.
He certainly might do that here as Benny the pace car driver makes the hard left turn down onto pit road. Barney the flag man up in the cactus watching and waiting to make sure he can see how the field looks before waving that green flag to go back racing. And we are back as they come out of turn number 4. The lights are on the cactus. Let's go racing once again here at Phoenix. And everyone right there almost going to touch that wall as they head down to the bottom of the racetrack over into 1.
Yeah, their time distance overlay right there was very minimal. They tried to cut it as much as possible to make this first out lap as fast as possible. Now you see side by side. You saw 3 wide, 4 wide while ago. People get stuck on the outside lane. Here comes the 6 of James. He's going to jump down there to the bottom of Agno Phillip and cut that all the way down to the wall again. Man, what a restart for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, a lot of great restarts, a lot of great movers and shakers here as Chase Schaefer pulls away here in the number 35 as he makes the run, stretching it out to almost a second lead over Nathan Lyon. Kwame Scott still holds on that 3rd position as Mil Botcher trying to battle here in 4th with Agno Phillips and Jake Matheson as they come out of turn 4 across the line.
Yeah, they cut the line for lap 50, and surprisingly enough, we've only had 2 cautions so far. I expected to see a little bit more. Not going to lie to you. I thought that this track would present a bigger challenge in this race. You'd see a little bit more aggression on the early portions of these runs, but so far, I mean, they've been calm, cool, and collective, got single file. I've kind of understood that you have 312 laps in this race, that there's no sense in pushing it too hard, as you see the 5 right here. Just kind of working himself in the 9th place position, trying to get that run up here on cone.
Well, if cautions start coming, we can already get kicked off with the hashtag Blame Terry.
Good point. Good point.
As the field is now getting themselves single file, a couple of cars are trying to battle for position right now as we see one car go up to the top of the racetrack in that purple machine. That's around the battle for 12th, as the 37 machine, I believe, is going to be one of those drivers. Matt Chaffee, Noel Figueroa, and Kevin Adams throw in the 15 machine of Jonathan Jordan, who is going to be running that top side.
Yeah, you see that outside lane actually starting to play a little bit more of a factor in this race. Something we didn't see in the early portions so far, in at least the first stint of this race. A lot of people was taking the low line around here, going below that yellow line. But now you see that 15 going up there, and he's actually going to get past again. Driver down there to his low side. Those two are going to go side by side through turn 2.
Side by side as they come off of turn number 2. Almost scrapes the wall as they come off turn 2, but they're going to keep it clean. They go back single file as Tyler Gunter in the 30 machine. His Ford looks to the inside, tries to complete the pass on the 15, will do so. as he will move up a spot. Then you have Shane Van Gisbergen trying to close in a little bit further back as he tries to hunt down these two drivers.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing a whole lot of single file. They'll get side by side, then they'll go single file again. As you see, the 33 and the 4 going at each other again. That's Bosvert and Phillip fighting out here. They tried to go 3 wide for a second, thought twice of it. Kind of stayed single file there for a second. Now it's going side by side again. You'll have the ebbs and flows of this race where the outside middle groove will start to work, and then the low side's going to come back in. But as the rubber lays down, I think we'll see predominantly the passes coming from that second to third groove.
I agree with you 100%, Terry, as we see some drivers trying to utilize that and get the ball rolling on that momentum on the top side here. As we watch the couple of other trucks or cars working their way through, that has to be the 51 machine of Sean Rogers. No, that is Agnell Phillips right there in the mix. He is going to go to the inside of his number Chevrolet as he battles with Rogers for positions. This is the battle for P6 as Phillips will complete the pass.
Yeah, he made that pass work on the low side. Little bobble from the outside lane. And then you see side by side again behind him. Kind of surprised to see a lot of these drivers that started in the top 3 fell back a little bit, and now they're having to work their way back up. Kind of shows me that the short runs fire off speed for them wasn't there. They need some laps on their tires to progressively keep this momentum going for them. But the good part about this is if we keep this green, we could go a long way. I mean, once we start separating this field, I think if we get a green flag pit stop in, you're going to see a lot of drivers get the separation that they want and need in order to keep it going. As I believe that is the who's that on the outside? The 1 machine's having some issues. He got trapped up there and he's lost 5 positions.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good run for him here in this stage of the race as we watch the 5 machine go a little bit further back. Justin Lowry, as he's now trying to battle with Jake Matheson for position. Lowry will complete the path. This opens the door for Jack Cohn in the number 10 machine as he'll move up a spot to get around Jake Matheson.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the 1 there, but I don't know if he bobbled on the outside or what, but I mean, he has luckily found a spot right here in front of Matheson in the, I believe, the 10th place position. Yeah, the 10, he is Matheson. I don't know why I read that. The 11 fell right in front of the 11. I mean, then we read numbers all backwards, but falls in line here, holds it on. Now you see Adam right here jumping down to the bottom. He's going for the 13th position on Gunter in the 30. These two have kind of been the same person the entire race, as now he's going to look for 12th, and now the 30 is going to come charge back to the outside.
Here comes the 30 with a big run to the outside as we see Tyler Gunter try and get around Kevin Adams and Noel Figueroa, who are trying to work their way through as they come off of turn number 4. They're almost going to go 3 wide as they do so across the front straightaway through the dog leg, and the 26 machine will try to work his way through of Kevin Adams to the inside of Tyler Gunter for position.
Yeah, you continue to see side by side off of turn number 2. Now they're going to go single file out here. Kind of work your way into the position. You maybe work your opponent over for a lap and a half, 2 laps to set it up. It's going to come down to who can make the move the best. This race right here so far has the feel of a little bit of a road course style where you want to outbrake your opponent into the corner, set yourself up for the apex, but you don't want to mess up the apex or the center off. Your entry kind of determines how you're going to get the run off the exit of the corner. And right at the moment, you saw the 30 right there, got alongside, braked a little later into the entry of the corner, and then allowed that thing to float just a little bit to make the 8 kind of work himself up the track and then gunned it off exit. That was a textbook pass, and that was really good for the 30. If he can do that a couple more times, get a caution, get back on a cycle with everybody, he's gone. I think that move's going to be what's going to win the race eventually for somebody down the road.
It certainly seems to be the case here as the field now works their way back over into turn 3 and 4. You're watching the 30 of Tyler Gunter, Noel Figueroa, Kevin Adams, and Jose Carlos Izquierdo, who are running for that battling in 11th position. as they send it off into turn number 1. There you see Gunter trying to find his way, build that momentum on the outsides, a slingshot past the competitors up ahead of him, as we see the Justin Lowry machine trying to move up a spot to get around Sean Rogers. The Carolina native club driver will try to see what he can do, completes the pass off turn 4, and continues to set his sights on his next victim, which will be Agnell Phillips.
Yeah, I mean, that's so fast. Here comes the 36 of Rogers, jumps back down to that low side. That was a really good momentum type pass where he got to the outside, kind of rode it all the way around. And then what hurt him the worst was that Agnell Phillip was right there as well. So when he went to go launch it in the corner a little deeper, Agnell Phillip was there. So he had to check up a tad bit, allowed Lowry to keep that 7th place position. And now you got to hope that he can get clean air, he can get some air on that nose to get a good straight line drive off the exit.
It's really trying to get a good line off the exit here, and it's going to put on a good show as we watch the 5 machine trying to get around Agnell Phillips for position. No change up in the front of the field. Chase Schaefer still leads by 3.1 seconds at the moment, and no pressure whatsoever from behind for him.
No pressure from behind for the 35. He tagged the wall early in this race, but he's been setting sail ever since he took the lead there after that caution. But so far so good for a lot of these drivers. Everybody stayed very clean. Everybody stayed in order. And I mean, we got a long way to go, Taylor. This is we hadn't even scraped the surface of this race.
No, we certainly haven't, and there's a lot of racing still left to go for your competitors here as drivers are trying to negotiate and continue on racing here today at the virtual Phoenix Raceway. 68 laps up on the board, but a lot of things still to come for this race as they come across the back straightaway here. A couple of cars trying to go 3 wide as they head off into turn 3, a little further back as we watch on screen. This is the, of course, Kevin Adams we just saw. Now we're going a little bit further back to, I believe, that is the 29 machine of Aaron Brown. So this is the battle for 16th, 17th with Shane Van Gisbergen, Matt Chaffee, and Matt Coker in amongst this group of cars.
Yeah, a little homage there to the Kyle Busch machine and the Toyota. Last time today, he's going to race that 18 machine, and M&M's and Mars leaving the sport in general. So a couple sad moments in NASCAR today. Kind of started with the tragic passing of Coy Gibbs, and then Kyle Busch leaving Joe Gibbs Racing to go over and race that 8 machine. But I mean, racing's racing, and stuff happens, and you lose drivers, and they go to different places. But it's kind of the same thing with NASCAR, I guess. You have a lot of people retiring from the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series that are going to different teams, or they're just tired of racing a very lengthy schedule. But it's fun to keep up with, I guess.
Certainly is here, and our thoughts and families go out to the entire Gibbs family and organization of Joe Gibbs Racing for the passing of Coy Gibbs as we watch the drivers now work their way over into turn 3 and 4. There you see the 12 machine of Matt Coker, who is trying to battle with Shane Van Gisbergen. He's a little bit up the road. There you see now as we go back up to the 30th driver of Tyler Gunter, who is getting ready to try to find his way around Kevin Adams for 13th.
Yeah, Gunter's kind of had a, I wouldn't say weird race, but when he makes passes, he made them very quick. But then he kind of lost a little momentum, gained a little momentum back. He's just been right there. Like, he hasn't been as strong as I thought. He's just been kind of just sitting in this mid-pack area. Surprisingly, that this field's as stretched as it is. I kind of want to know what Schaefer's doing, or what Lyons or Scott up there in the top 3's doing to kind of separate themselves from the rest of this field. But you see right here, there goes Shane Van Gisbergen jumping to the inside. The 30 of Gunter's just going to let him go. He'll go up the racetrack, go ahead and pass. We'll make some changes. There's not a whole lot of adjustments they can make to this car either. You can adjust brake bias. That's all you got. So you mess with your brake bias, you mess with your steering, but kind of racing what you got here.
It certainly is, and it's not a whole lot you can do here. And it makes it more of just the drivers against drivers, not against who has the better setup. It's who can be able to manage their car during each and every single one of these runs. That's what makes the Fixed Setup series a little bit interesting, I'd have to say, and possibly even more competitive, because it opens up the door for it's not based on who has the better setup, but who is the better one at handling. And right now, Chase Schaefer is the one who's doing the best of managing this as he has continued on with this run. Chase Schaefer stretched out to a 3.7 second lead and has already started lapping a couple of cars out on the track. 31 cars are on the lead lap, so they are going to be going through some lap traffic here momentarily.
Yeah, not so fast, my friend. I think the open setup brings a little bit more competition out of people because you have that pride, in a sense, to go out there and represent your setup shop, and you want to put yourself in a good position. I like the fix to an extent when it comes to tire saving. Like this, you're right with the handling portion. Is a lot of these drivers, you have to learn how to save. You have to learn how to keep the car under you, and you have to manage the race from start to finish. All three phases of the race. You can't just fire off good. You have to get the start, the middle portion, and then the end. You have to be able to control that car a whole lot better than most. But the open sets, they let you drive that thing harder. They let you just sail that sucker in there, and you have the confidence that that's going to stick, because you know that Reaper, Maconi, Moonlight, all these setup shops are going to give you the best possible chance to go out here and win. I like to go out there and just go wide open, though, so maybe that's why I like the open more. Oh! The 8 and the 13 as Shane Van Gisbergen made contact here. And that was hard contact. You see here the 8 just comes down, the 13 comes up and corkscrew around for the 8 and catch the 12 in there as well. And that's heavy damage. That's race over for both of them.
It is race over indeed for both of them, and I have to say I hate to be the 8 machine for basically taking out one of the top ranking drivers in the world of Shane Van Gisbergen and getting involved with that. A tough break indeed for those two drivers, as pit stops are now happening here on lap 80 as we're a little over 20 laps away from 200 laps to go, and everybody's coming down to get tires and fuel.
Yeah, some of these drivers are on set 3. A lot of the other drivers are on set 2. The math kind of works with 9 sets of tires. We go about 40 laps and start pitting, but that was a tough blow for those drivers just to kind of come together there. We've seen the dogleg play a big issue in this race so far, where we saw the 9 get loose there. We saw a couple of the drivers get a little squirrely. I was not expecting to see somebody get pinched down there in wreck.
Yeah, tough break as they race off pit road. It will be Chase Schaefer, Lyons, Milvacher, Phillips, Lowry, your top 5 as they race their way off pit road. And Chase Schaefer really having a great run this season so far. We'll look up a little information on Chase here momentarily, but really having a great performance, has led pretty much majority of this race, and looking forward to seeing what he can do for the remainder.
Yeah, he is having a really good race. You look at his license, I mean, his safety rating is a 2.52. Safety doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, but he has a 37.53. I mean, he's racing in a lobby where the top I rating is Jake Matheson, and he's sitting at a 66.91. So, I mean, he's definitely figured Phoenix out. I mean, he knows what he needs to do. He's putting himself in the right position. But you remember when I said that there's 3 phases to this race? We're in the first phase. Once we get to about 100 112, and we get to that 200 to go, your first phase is over. Then we see that second 100 lap phase. The track's changed at that moment. Can you adjust your driving style to it? The track's going to change. The balance of the car is going to change. Can you stay in that? And then that last 100 lap run, then you're really going to tell, okay, did I put myself in the position? Hopefully he can. This is kind of what, like, when we did the 600 together, we had different phases. The track's going to change. The sun's going to start to set. We're going to see this track get cooler, cooler than it already was. So can he keep that 35 machine up here? He was one of the bottom iRating drivers in this field. He barely got in out of the 37 that's here. So good on him to come up here and put some TV time here on RaceSpot.
Yeah, Chase Schaefer has only 7 starts this season with 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 2 poles, and an average finish of 18. So really putting on a stellar performance for him this year. And of course, he's picked up a couple of wins so far in the 2022 calendar year, as he is looking to see if he can add another win to him here, the Monroe, Michigan native driver, as he has been making some steady gains in this run in 2022, picking up 39 career wins overall. 13 of them were oval wins this year alone, with 58 top 5s out of the 157 starts that he made in 2022. As the field is getting ready to go back out, we are racing once again, and Chase Schaefer gets another great jump on the field, but he is under immense pressure from Nathan Lyons as they drove to the bottom of the racetrack. Trouble a little further back. Caution is out as the big one happens here at Phoenix.
Holy mess. There's the 30 of Gunter. What in the...
Kwame Scott involved in this.
That's things that I didn't expect to see in this race. A driver flipping.
Yeah, let's take a look at the replay here, and I think it started around where Kwame Scott was. And there it was.
A checkup.
Big checkup, and around they go, and up in the air goes one of the drivers. Did not get a number on that one.
What in the world? Oh.
Was that Kevin? Was that? I believe that might have been Sean Rogers in the 36 machine who went end over end.
Yeah, it might have been. I think you're right. It was the 36 of Rogers. What? That's a... I'm not going to go on a tangent, but I kind of wish that we would have like an out-of-bounds rule for that first opening lap. Because you're going to see that more and more as we progress, with drivers taking it down to the wall, kind of stacking it up there. If you go one lap, like I would expect that until you cross the start-finish line, don't take it down below that yellow line, because you're at an advantage to the driver behind. The driver behind has the advantage on the driver in front to jump down below that yellow line once they start to see it happen, to make a pass, and it takes the position away from somebody else right there and puts them in a box. And that over-aggressiveness sets all of that chain of reaction up to put people in a bad position. I've seen it all week long in officials, whether it was C, B, or A open and fixed, where people just take advantage of that bottom, that dog leg getting cut. I really hope that we circle that at some point in time and just say, hey, especially if you're in a league, don't cut this until we've completed that lap. Like, everybody has to pass the start-finish line before somebody goes down there and cuts it.
Yeah, a little bit of a tough situation right here as we are under caution once again for the 4th time here tonight, as a couple of more cars have taken it behind the wall. Noah Figueroa and Shane Van Gisbergen. 33 cars left on the track, but we still have a bunch of them on pit road. As Chase Schaefer, is he thinking about coming down pit road in his 35 machine? The answer is going to be no. He will stay out on the track along with Lyons, Phillips, Lowry, and Matheson.
I would imagine that everybody that was caught up in that from they'd be 24th on back, their races are done. I don't expect to see any of them coming back out. It would be wild to think that we would see that. You see a couple people in the back pitting. I'd imagine they just come down for fuel or maybe minor repairs. But that's just, it's unfortunate. You're going to see a little bit less raciness if we, continue on the path that I kind of thought we would go on. But that a lot of fast cars just got caught up in that. I mean, the 3 of Scott was up there, the 8 was there, Gisbergen was driving through the field, the 26 was having a good run, and he ends up and over. Coker's back there, I think he might have caught a piece of that as well. It was just a lot of good drivers in that one wreck that could have just been avoided very easily.
Certainly seemed to be the case here, as we have now the field lining up, doubled up here as they make their way down the back straightaway. Pace car is off. We currently have 28 cars on the lead lap as they work their way into the restart zone, about to get the green flag from Barney the Flagman to go back racing here at Phoenix. 88 laps complete out of the 312. Still a lot of racing left to go, and we're back racing here at Phoenix. And right now Chase Schaefer getting a good run on the field as he tries to pull away from Nathan Lyons, but here comes Agnell Phillips. He'll battle for second to the inside.
Yeah, if you're the 35 right now, you kind of got to think in your head, this is a good safety rating day, this is a good I rating day. If you win this race, he's going to jump up. He'll get about 100 to 150 on this one. Be a top split of NIS, and his safety rating will be enormous. So if he holds this on and he's able to hold off very fast drivers behind him, very, very impressive. And anybody watching, maybe a league owner, and you're watching a guy like Chase Schaefer right here putting a spanking on him earlier in this race, you might want to hit him up and say, hey man, you want to come run our league? Or maybe not. Maybe you see him racing guys like this. You're like, don't come race us. We're good. Just see Lyons. He's going to jump down there to the loose side and try to peek a little fender underneath him.
He'll look to the inside as they try to get a fender in. Nathan Lyon trying to put the pressure on Chase Schaefer. Lyons will try to send it in, but Schaefer will pull out as he heads over by a car length. But here comes Lyon back with a head of steam off turn number 2. Will he try to make the pass into 3? He's a little bit closer, half a car length between your top 2.
Yeah, I'm very surprised, but not really. What the 35's doing is he's running a traditional, non-traditional line. You saw it right there where he kind of forced the 9 of Lyons to play his game. He forced him into his box and said, if you're going to pass me, you're only going to pass me on the bottom, or you're going to pass me all the way against the wall. You're not going to pass me in the middle. I'm not going to give you the opportunity to do it. As you see right here, you see the side-by-side battle as we're looking at Agnell Phillip. He's got the 33 right behind him, right in front of him. The 6 and the 1 just had their passing together. But the 1, back to him for a second, the 1's actually a very good short-run car. Long run's been kind of blah. So we'll see what the 1 can do here as we continue on with this run, which we've about to get into that first phase being over. We almost get a lap 100.
We are closing in on that first phase indeed here as Schaefer still holds on now. He's picked up about a 1.6-point-second lead over Lyons. Matheson still holds third as Agnell Phillips, and then a hornet's nest of drivers with William Bosevert, Jack Cohn, and Jose Carlos Izquierdo, who are rounding up around him as we see the 9 of Lyons go to the top side. Matheson goes to the bottom of the racetrack, and he will move up to P2.
Yeah, he's moving up here. Sorry, little YouTube chat here. They're doing it, but Matheson's doing a good job on the short run. Very fast short run burst. I want to see more 20-lap runs out of him. I want to say, and not criticizing him. He's very fast, obviously very good, but I don't know if he burnt them up early on that first run that we saw, but he kind of fell back a little bit. I want to see now, okay, you've established yourself as a top 2, top 3 contender. Can you keep this run? Can you keep the momentum going in that race car? You're the 1 car for a reason. What do you have? Are you fast on the short run, or are you fast all the way around? Because he closes in for a second, then he slips on back. He kind of gets pulled back into his competition. I want to see him at that level that we know he can race at.
Certainly have to agree with you on that, Terry, as we watch these drivers now go to side by side. Here comes Matt Coker up into 15th as he tries to fight his way around through Wally Wilson, Aaron Brown, and Renato Postigo, who are working in position around him, as Coker will try to complete the pass on Renato and Wally Wilson. As they go side by side a little further, you got Michael Meredith and Kevin Adams battling for 17th.
Yeah, a lot of racing here in the mid-pack. It's something Dale Jr. brought up on the NBC broadcast, was the mid-pack's where all the racing's at normally. You don't see a whole lot of racing up at the front, but you see it a lot back here in this part of the field, and that's absolutely accurate. We're sitting here, we're 2x2 all the way through here. It's about 12th to 14th on back, and they continuously keep putting it down. Driving deeper and deeper into the corner. But you see here the 12 of Coker trying to get his way up here. He's got a side-by-side battle behind him, and he almost got contact. Oh, the 19 missed the corner.
And up into the wall he will go. The 19 of Joseph Burton Harris. Hard contact to the outside wall as we're under caution once again, just shy of the 100-lap mark.
Oh, he sent that sucker in there. Oh, he got help. The 32 punked him. Oh, that's a 4X.
It's more than a 4X, I have to say, Terry.
I'm saying for the 32. The 32 got the 4X to shift that 19, and then bam! That's a broken toe link.
Broken everything, I have to say, on that machine.
That stinks. That stinks. So that's aggressiveness into the corner. You saw the 32 just lock it up, and yeah, that's the one thing I can't stand about a lot of official running is the person who normally triggers the wreck never gets caught in the wreck.
Yeah, it's usually a tough case.
Oh!
Some close calls on drivers deciding to come down pit road here. One driver did. I believe that's going to be that Agnell or no,
5.
Justin Lowry, who comes down pit road.
They hit the commitment line though. That's what kind of caught me by surprise. Is they actually did catch that commitment cone coming into pit lane. Not too sure why it maybe didn't trigger something there, but they all stayed out, which I'm surprised that I'm not surprised that they stayed out, but I'm surprised that they tried to fake it that hard. As the 35 wasn't faking nobody. He was like, I'm going to sit behind the pace car.
Certainly is something he's going to do as the field is going to line up and go under caution. Like we said, a couple of cars did decide to come down pit road, as a couple of cars decided to take it behind the wall. Drivers such as Kwame Scott, Caleb Gilbert, Sean Rogers join Van Gisbergen, Fogarty, Benefield, and Potak, who are now going behind the wall indeed. Joseph Burton Harris is on pit road trying to fix his number 19 machine. Jacob Klein out on the racetrack after having to fix his car, along with Tyler Gunter, Jaden Porter. Kevin Adams had a long pit stop along with Christian Marcelli, who also was on pit road for quite some time.
Yeah, we got 25-ish drivers still out here. 26, I think, is the number we're sitting at that are on the lead lap. Very early. I mean, we're still very early in this race. 102 in. We got 211 to go. We got plenty of time for some great racing to go. It's only 10 Eastern. It's a good time. We're an hour in.
We are an hour into the show here tonight. A lot of racing still left to go. As 110 laps left here for your drivers. It is, of course, the iRacing Phoenix Finale special event, part of the iRacing special event calendar held throughout the year, as drivers are getting themselves ready to go with some more great racing action. But it is the last, as far as of the NASCAR iRacing series that started in Daytona at February, and of course will kick back off later on in February of 2023. Of course, a lot of exciting things happening in the world of NASCAR in 2023 that we'll see included here on the iRacing service, I have to say. The first one is, of course, being the Chicago Street Circuit Racing happening in 2023. Also, the LA Coliseum going to be racing under the lights, so that just pops the question, will we see lights added on to the LA Coliseum racetrack here on the iRacing service here pretty soon to provide some great racing action, as lights are out on the pace car, and we're about to go back racing here once again at Phoenix Raceway.
I figured since we're talking about E stuff, I saw that the VCO Semi Awards are a thing. If you're a fan of esports, go follow them on Twitter and cast your nominations for all of their great stuff that they got going on there. But there's a lot of great things in the E world of motorsports here.
Yes, indeed. Of course, the big news happening, of course, the other week with the announcement of LMDH racing happening on the iRacing service here pretty soon, as we're about to go back green flag racing here at Phoenix, and already a great jump on the field as they send it off into turns 1 and 2. And, of course, it is none other than Chase Schaefer who leads them off and has a hornet's nest of drivers all over him. Matheson Lyons trying to find their way up in to take over the race lead.
Yeah. Everybody trying to get their positions here. You see people that's 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide for a second. You see the 33 right here trying to get under the 4 of Phillip. He goes up to the top of the racetrack, trying to continue his momentum and his charge to the front. You saw the 9 tried to shoot low there on the 35, couldn't make that happen. And the race so far on this restart was the wildest one we've seen so far. And surprisingly enough, nobody wrecked. I thought we would see somebody spinning after that.
Certainly thought so indeed, as we're watching on this battle a little further back between Agnell Phillips and the James Mill Botcher machine. Throw in a couple of other cars as they are working their way down the back straightaway, or actually the front straightaway, heading off into turn 1, as we see Mill Botcher trying to fork his way around Phillips. William Bosevart right there as well in his number 13 machine, as they go side by side, 2 by 2, 3 rows deep for some drivers, as they send it off in there into turn 3 and 4. How about that number 2 machine also having a good run and working his way up through? That's Brandon Wilkinson trying to break into the top 10.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of these drivers kind of struggle early. You talk about the 2 of Wilkinson. Not the run you would expect to see out of the 2 machine early on in this race, but here he comes, starting to work his way up. I don't believe he put a qualifying time down. Starting to drive through this field. You still have the 1, you still have the 2. The 3's been kicked out, or has been out of this race. The 4's up here, and you have the 5 still in this race as well. All of your big I-rating guys are still in this race. Your drivers that are right in the 6K range. So there's still a ton of fierce competition for a lot of these drivers that they've got to hold on to. They have to realize who they're racing with. They're very smart. Just their IQ of racing and sim racing is just beyond the imagination. I wish I could sit down and pick some of their brains sometime and just say, hey, look, how did you make this move stick? Because you see the 5 right here, Lowry, he's making that sucker stick right there under the 29 of Brown. And he just walked him up the track and just kind of made him respect him more.
Certainly did here, as we're watching Lowry and Brown doing battle for that 9th position as they work their way side by side. Lowry will have the position for the time being over the 29 Toyota, as they now almost go 3 wide with another driver. That is going to be Jose Carlos Izquierdo, who is trying to also get involved in this battle. Lowry will get by him, move him up to P8.
Yeah, move Lowry up to 8. Then you see the 29, he's going to make a move under the 11 machine here. He'll get down to the bottom. The dirty air is going to hurt him from the 5 machine, so the 5's going to sit right there. Now you're going to see them go side by side. They kind of separated themselves from that pack in front. And it's going to be a battle who can get better in the corner, who can get better into turn 2. So far, the 29, but the 11 gets back on the gas, downshifted, carried more momentum to that outside. It's going to get a great run down the front straightaway.
Coming up here as they work their way across the start, or turns 3 and 4. A little bit of a bump right there for Brown as they go side by side now, battling for position between the Brown and Wally Wilson machine. 200 laps left to go for your race leader as they send it on in side by side. Wilson trying to hold off Brown, but now it's going to be falling into the clutches of William Bosever, who will now get involved in this battle for position as we see Jose Carlos Izquierdo moving up into another position into the 8th spot.
Yeah, I ain't going to try to pronounce his name. I know better. But the 11's having a good run. He got past all this, the raciness from the 33. He got past it from the 29. Still very consistent, very early in this race. The tempers have been kind of low. I expected with a shorter track that you would see more of these drivers get a little bit more antsy, get a little bit more tired of other people, maybe use the bumper more in turns 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, just get up there and kind of give them a nudge, but haven't seen that yet. Lowry got past Coyne there for the 5th place position. He's working his way through the field very brilliantly and is actually closing in on the race lead. He's been very fast. His last lap was one of the fastest on the racetrack with a 28.245. So very consistent speed as he's going to get 4th. I mean, he's on a mission to the front, and I would be very surprised that in the next 10 or 15 laps we don't see that 5 machine to the race lead.
Certainly seems to be a driver to keep an eye on indeed here, as Lowry was about 0.2 of a second faster than anyone inside the top 3 right now, so he is really starting to drop the hammer on your competitors. Now all over the back bumper of Nathan Lyons in the 3rd position. He'll look to the inside and try to show the nose, complete the pass off turn number 4. He will clear him and now move up Lowry to P3, and now has to hunt down Jake Matheson as well as Chase Schaefer, who's starting to fall off the pace just a tick. He's now up to a 2nd ahead of Matheson and Lowry.
We're in that 2nd phase of this race where the track's starting to rubber in. You see a little bit darker shades in the corner. Tires have started to work themselves in. Drivers have got acclimated more to what the track's going to do. They're understanding more what the competition's going to do as well. Schaefer's starting to fall back to Matheson, back to Lowry, who's making the pass here for P2. He was 0.4 of a second faster that time on Matheson. He was 0.6 faster than our race leader that time. He's on a mission. But the question is he burning it up? Is he overdriving this? Is he cooking the tires more than what he should? Or did he learn something in that first stage of this race that made him go, I can drive this harder. I've been a little bit more timid. Let's go up here and take this lead and see if we can dominate it.
Well, it doesn't hurt either when you have 30-lap fresher tires here, but we'll see how this balances out for him as his run progresses, as he is trying to hunt down race leader Chase Schaefer. We're about to possibly have a change for the lead here in maybe a handful of laps between Schaefer and Lowry, who is now under half a second, closing in on the 35 machine as they come off turn number 4. As they work their way through, we'll take a look at the lap times here as they come across the line. Make it 0.3 of a second between your top 2, and it is closing as far as they work their way over to 1.
Yeah, I get that he has fresher tires here, but the way that he's made the passes really showed me that maybe he learned something that was a whole lot different from what we saw. As he's going to take the shot for the race lead here. They're going to go side by side, but also the fact that Schaefer's been able to keep 0.3 of a second with him kind of shows me that maybe the 35, he's got a little bit more speed than what we saw in the early part of this race. Because, I mean, he was a half a tenth faster there, but still not surprised. Maybe we'll see the 5 back to him.
We'll see that here as Justin Lowry is now your new race leader here. As the field works their way down into turn 3 and 4, it's Lowry, Schaefer, Matheson, Lyons, Phillips, your top 5. As they are trying to jockey for position here in this stage of the race. 120 laps up on the board out of the 312. Still a lot of racing left to go. We haven't even hit the halfway point of tonight's race yet, and we are seeing some big movers and shakers up through the field. Jake Matheson picking up from 17th to 3rd. Agnell Phillips 18th to 5th. Jose Carlos Izquierdo from 21st to 8th position, and Aaron Brown 33rd to 10th position. A good run for him so far as we go to see Aaron Brown right there in the 29 battling with, I believe that is going to be the 10 machine of Zach Lindgren, who also was one of those drivers who came down pit road on that last caution.
Yeah, I mean, I've had everybody who did that pit stop there at the end. The only one that's really made a ton of headway with it has been Justin Lowry. He come up there and took the race lead. I mean, you talked about you got to go all the way back to 10th to see the next driver to do it. And lap times for him, he's matching his competitors. He's being raced very hard. Hasn't necessarily had the pace with the fresh tires to do much with it. Still just kind of sitting there, you know, trying to let the race come to him. But you got to charge a little harder if you would come in here and wasted a set of tires.
Certainly is the case here as these drivers are trying to work their way through. Brown goes to the outside of Kevin Adams to move up a spot into the 12th position. He's going to have to work his way through. Doesn't get the run he needs as Adams is stuck behind Jonathan Atkins and William Bolsford. Has trouble for one car. That's the 17 of Jonathan Atkins. He'll slide down to the bottom of the racetrack out of harm's way. We're going to keep it clean and green, though, for your competitors. But for Atkins, he is going to fall all the way back to 20th.
But he still has a race car intact. I think that's the biggest key that we'll look at here is still racing, still competing, still able to continue on here this afternoon. I'll take a slide any day of the week as long as I don't hit nothing and as long as I don't wreck. So he held on to it, did what he had to do, and now, I mean, you see single file again. We're starting to stretch out. As Schaefer had a bobble there. He fell back to 4th.
Certainly did here as we watch him fall a little bit further back. James Milbotcher moves up to P6 as we watch Aaron Brown under putting pressure on William Bossevert for 11th spot.
You see him putting the pressure on the 29s, working that outside lane, trying to get past the 33. He'll have to set this up more as we go a little further up. You see the 11 and the 9 Alliance. They're working each other over here. The 11 stuck on the bottom. You got the 9 on the outside. We'll see what this pass does going into turns 3 and 4 as the 9 try to go to the bottom to get away from, I believe that's the 7 machine, but couldn't. He had to go to the outside and see if he keeps his momentum here.
Watching him try to build that momentum up here as they head off as the 9 machine is Nathan Lyons. He is having to deal with some severe issues as he gets a little contact 3 wide as they come off turn 2. They go back to 2 wide here as Lyons is under immense issues, having to struggle with his number 9 machine as they're going to go 3 wide down in the back straightaway into turn 3 and 4. Lindgreen as well as also the 14 machine. That's one of the lap cars of Nicholas Patovich, who will go a lap down as trouble for one of the drivers. That's James Milbotcher. He goes loose off turn 4 through the dog leg.
Yeah, that dog leg, it's starting to bite people here, no pun intended. But it's a little weird to see this next gen car when you think about the dog leg. You've seen it over the years with the Gen 6 car, the Gen 7 car, and now this car. When you cut that dog leg, it built a lot of confidence in you. But here, with this one, if you hit it wrong, if you so much just do it at the wrong angle with this car, and maybe just point the nose a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left of it, it'll upset the balance. It'll kind of bounce you up and down, make the steering box have a little bit of an issue. You'll feel it in the steering wheel. You'll feel it when you come back onto the racetrack in that transition. And we've seen it 2 or 3 times here tonight. We'll see how much more with the tires getting worn. Are we going to see it? But it's still phenomenal racing. I mean, 130 laps. And what's it, 3 cautions, 4 cautions? I've lost count.
At least 4 or 5 cautions. And just as we say that, Harry, that one's on you.
That's on me. My bad. My bad. Matt
Chaffee, along with, I believe, another car, goes up to the top side of the racetrack as they spin in the middle of turns 1 and 2.
If we only had 4, we have 5 now.
Exactly, indeed, I have to say, Terry. But these drivers have been out there for a little over 50 laps for some of them, so I think it's a well-deserved timed caution for these drivers to come down pit road. As we try to see who else was involved in that. I saw Matt Chaffee go around in the 37, as the rest of the field will come down pit road, being led by Lowry, as here's Chaffee and the 22 machine.
Oh, he just caught it.
Jacob Klein involved and a couple of other cars involved, but for Chaffee, he was able to avoid not going fully into the wall, saves the car, and will come down for fuel and tires as they go up onto the jacks.
Well, hopefully he didn't even get the 1X for the loss of the loss of control there. It'd be pretty cool to see if the fact that he saved that was wild, but he saved it, and then there was a wreck a little bit in front of him. So there was two different incidents that could have brought that caution flag out. And so far, we haven't given out a whole lot of X's here in this race, so maybe we can keep it that way, or these drivers just their safety rating stays as safe as possible. A lot of drivers that's in the back of the field, a couple of them are going to take an I rating hit. Some are still going to gain even though they're out of the race because their I rating was a little lower than the strength of field. And what is the strength of field for this? What's it like 45, 52, something like that?
Give or take, we'll know for sure once we get a little bit closer at the end. We can maybe have a little quick result look at it possibly, but it is a very high I rating. This is the top split, and I have to say the average here is probably close to 3,800, maybe 4,000 even, because there is a lot of big heavy hitters competing.
I'm kind of multitasking. I'm calling this race, and then I'm looking over at the Titans and the Chiefs. Surprisingly enough, my boys are winning 17-9 late in the third. It did not see this one coming, but NASCAR is more important to me. But the TV's in the peripheral over here. Is when we get cautions, I get to peek over and kind of catch part of the game as well. But my Volunteers lost for the first time this year, and stinks for me. I live in this crap hole of a state called Georgia, so I have to hear all these Bulldog fans tell me that Tennessee sucks.
Well, we'll see how the rest of your Tennessee Titans.
11-1. They'll beat Missouri next week. They'll beat South Carolina, and then they'll checkerboard Vandy for all my Vanderbilt people out there, which I don't even think they have a fan in sight.
I think it would have to be, that's Wake Forest for James Pike, of course.
Oh, yeah, Wake Forest lost to NC State. Their season's been over. I hate it for Pike, but yeah, poor Wake Forest. The old Demon Deacons. They've had a tough year. I rooted for them. I wanted them to go out and maybe go 11-1 and play Tennessee. That'd been pretty cool to have me and Pike. We talked about going to the game together if they played. I think we might stick to that. If we get a Wake Forest-Tennessee matchup in a neutral site, we'll see if we can meet up and maybe have a couple beers and watch the game.
Well, with that, the lights should be out on the pace car as Benny, the pace car driver, makes the hard left turn down on the pit road. As we go back racing here momentarily, it is going to be driver of that number 5 as it is not going. We're going to stay out one more lap as one car decided to stop on the racetrack by the looks of it. The number 56 machine, but that is going to be a different number on our timing and scoring. So that would be car number 2, Brandon Wilkinson.
Yeah, take another lap around here under very slow speeds. What'd you do this weekend? Any big plans down there in Texas?
No, not a whole lot of big things happening here in Texas for me right now. Pretty much just watched all the NASCAR championship races here at Phoenix Raceway in the real world, and was able to see some great racing all weekend long. And now we get ready for a couple of other things happening for me in a couple weeks' time. We got the SCUSA Super Nats happening in Las Vegas in a couple weeks that I'll be heading off to, but we are looking forward to seeing what happens here in the virtual world for the eNASCAR season finale here at Phoenix Raceway. As these drivers line up 2 by 2, it's Lowry, Schaefer, Matheson, Coney, and Milbacher, your top 5, as they enter into turns 3 and 4 into the restart zone. Lowry in that number 5 Chevrolet getting ready to put on a great run to the start flag and green flag. We're back racing at Phoenix.
Another big checkup back there for the 6. Bottleneck the field from that 6th place position on the bottom, was kind of similar to what we saw on the big wreck that we saw here. As you see, the 11's trying to go 4 wide on the 9. You see 3 wide with him on the outside. These restarts get crazier and crazier.
They are getting very crazy indeed, and they're putting on a good show as we see the 4 of Agnell Phillips trying to get into the top 4 here, trying to get around Jake Matheson, but he has to deal with Lyons and Milbotchler, who are in amongst that battle for position as they rocket off into turn 1. Meanwhile, Schaefer takes over the race lead once again.
Yeah, Schaefer got the race lead going once more. I think he's got the car to beat. I hate to put it on anybody else, but I mean he's got speed, long run, short run. He's been there consistently pulling away from this field. I mean, doing everything right so far in this race, and I'd be very surprised if he gets passed under the green flag condition on somebody other than fresh tires.
Certainly have to do so indeed as we watch them work their way through. Phillips and Milbotchler battling for that 5th position here as we move a little bit further up, as Lowry is under pressure from Jack Coney and Jake Matheson, who will look to the inside as they come across the line. Matheson will get around Lowry for 3rd, as here comes Nathan Lyons for 4th.
Yeah, we didn't see the 5 machine have a whole lot of fire off speed until he put fresh tires on it, but now you see the 9 of Lyons. He's going to make the run on the bottom side. Almost made the pass stick, and now he will going into 3 and 4. But the 5, it was a net gain no matter what he did. I mean, he's sitting right here in the 5th place position. If he can just hold it right there, hold serve, it's a good race.
It has really been a good race so far for these drivers here, as Lowry tries to go to the outside lane and continues to get a good run through the corner here. But for Jack Cohn, who will stay in that number 7, he moves up to P2. Matheson trying to get around him as well.
Yeah, you see back there on your timing and score, and you see the 10 and the 12 of Coker and Lindgren. I think that's how you pronounce that. I'll butcher that one later. The 10 machine, they're swapping the position back and forth. You'll see one spot one time we'll get it, and now Coker holds it. He's going after the 11 now. As Phillip sits there, he's side by side with that 11 machine as well. Coker's going to try to take it 3 wide, and he is going to take it 3 wide in 3 and 4. And then there's the 10. He jumps to the outside. He saw a spot to open it, and he gets it going as well.
He really does get it going indeed here as we watch them rocket across the front straightaway, diving it into turn number 1. And Coker, Lindgren, Wilson, and Phillip all jockeying for position here, as here comes Wilson with a head of steam to the inside of Lindgren off turn 2.
Well, there's side-by-side battles all the way through this field from 10th on back. You see it. You see contacts made back there behind Phillip. The 29 of Brown made contact with the 18 of Meredith. We single file this spot out. Man, it's just been the 21 of Wilson. It's put himself in a good position. We hadn't talked about him much. Sitting here in that 11th place position, 1 spot outside this top 10. Now he has an opportunity to go underneath the 10 machine to get that position. Everybody holding serve so far for a lot of these drivers. You see the 33 up here. You see the 35. For people, this is a big iRating and safety rating day. If they can finish in those spots, I mean, it would feel like a win for the 33 sitting there in the 7th place position.
It really seems to be the case here as these drivers are trying to jockey, trying to see if they can gain some rating before the end of this season. As we watch Brown trying to work his way around Wally Wilson, Michael Meredith right there. We haven't talked much about him. He's right there behind in this battle, as Phillips and Kenneth Dykey Jr. will battle for the 14th spot.
Yeah, side by side here off 3 and 4, and Phillip goes to the bottom, cuts the dog leg. He's going to lose that position pretty handedly. A lot of drivers. Here we are. I talked about the 3 phases of this race. We're in the 2nd phase right now. A lot of drivers starting to come to the ballpark. They're starting to race harder, starting to realize that this track provided a little bit more grip than what it did in the first part of this when the rubber wasn't laid down. Everything carried over from practice and qualifying. 3 minutes of practice technically in this server, and then 5 minutes of qualifying. Didn't have a whole lot of time to lay rubber down, but 146 laps in, you've seen a ton of changes on this surface. So now you see the 32 up here, Wilson's there, Brown's there, all in a good position to beat some very top drivers at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of top drivers are trying to work their way through. Is the 32 machine of Kenneth Dykey Jr. having a good run here as he started a little bit towards the back half of the field. Started 36, is now running in 12th, so a great run for him so far.
I'm going to sit here and enjoy my Hershey's. It was Halloween the other week. My wife's, my mother-in-law sent me some candy. Got a good Hershey bar. In racing, I don't think there's a better combo maybe out there. Maybe some Rowdy mixed together. With the 32s having a good race, holding Brown off here for that 12th place position. Hadn't had the speed to necessarily get up and crack that top 10. But so far, I mean, if you can just stay right here, really good iRating game for you and a really good safety rating because he hadn't been caught up in any issues so far. I'm knocking on wood. That's to jinx my man over here.
I hope you have enough to share with the class here, I have to say there, Terry. If you have
This is so good. So good.
Oh my goodness, stop it. You're making me hungry. And then there's the M&M's machine right there, right now.
I have some M&M's in the living room, but I don't have the wireless headset on. If I did, you know, our wonderful producer Hugo, I start talking Hershey's. He puts the M&M's car on the screen. I see what you're doing, Hugo. Trying to make me eat this bucket of candy over here. I won't fall into your trap, Hugo.
He will try. As we watch on through the field here, we have a couple other drivers. Matthew Chaffee moving around Kenneth Dackey Jr. for the 16th position as Renato Postigo will move up to 17th. Brandon Wilkinson, Chuck Turner, Christian Marcelli as well, also moving up to the field as Kenneth is falling back through the field. So a tough break for him right now at the moment.
He was having such a good run, and he just got loose right there. There is a ton of shifting. There's a ton of things happening around this racetrack, and he gets loose there, loses a ton of positions, and just race isn't over. Your race isn't over. Just regroup, recollect yourself. You have the speed to come back up here in this top. Oh, no!
Oh, big trouble right there for William Bosever to go up to the top of the racetrack. No caution indeed. We're going to keep it clean and green. He's got to stay up of the rest of the field. Doesn't want to cause another major incident. But for William, he is might be done after that contact.
Yeah, that's night over. Easily, probably about 30 minutes worth of damage repair with the way the damage model's been so far. Luckily for the iRacing service, it has stayed consistent, and that's one thing that I praise iRacing for when the update came out, is how consistent they made the damage model for the next-gen car. While I feel that in some instances that the next-gen car is not as durable as what it should be, it's real life and it's in iRacing. It's been consistent from one to the other. But road courses is the one place that I kind of said we need a little work. It needs work in the real life and it needs work here. If you put a wheel off of the road course and you break a toe link or a tire rod because of it, that stinks. It was supposed to be more durable than that. But the time over damage, what they had, if you hit the wall, it goes off your time, how long you're going to put the damage repair on it. That has been the most consistent damage model I've seen in iRacing. And it irks me when people complain about it because they did it because people kept complaining about it. And they fixed it, and then you're still complaining about it. Just take it or leave it. I ain't getting anything better than that.
Certainly is a tough break indeed for some of these drivers here as we're going to keep on racing. Just 2 laps away from the halfway point of tonight's race as we see a couple of drivers now still battling. Aaron Brown trying to work his way around Wally Wilson and trying to move up into the top 10 a little further as they'll go side by side down into turn 3.
Side by side into 3. Brown worked his way in the top 10 here after a little bit of argy-bargy between those drivers in front of him. Lost a couple spots, but he gained it back sitting here in the 9th. You see Acto Phillip trying to get himself up there next to him, sitting in that 10th place position. He'll have a nose on him, but I don't think he's going to be able to complete that. He's going to stay door-to-door with him off of 2.
He is going to stay door-to-door with him off of turn 2, side by side, as Phillips and Brown will do battle for position. As they come off turn number 4, Brown has a great run on the top side of the racetrack, but it's not going to work. Phillips will maintain it as he falls a little bit further and completes the pass into 1.
Yeah, he completed the pass, and for Phillips, this has been an inconsistent race. at the early portion, I thought that we would see a little bit more. I thought that the 4 would have been more consistently up front, but he's fell off a tad bit, got caught in some traffic, and got stuck a little further on in the pack. Hasn't been able to work his way up. As you see the 11 machine, same thing with him. In the early part of this race, saw the 11 up front, thought that we would see that for the duration of the race, but he finds himself back here battling the 21 machine of Wilson. It's just been here. It's just kind of been mired back in traffic. Hadn't had a whole lot of pace up here to get past him. We just stay by them.
Certainly is the case here as we watch the 18 machine of Michael Meredith. We haven't talked much about him, but he is really trying to make his way up to the field in 15th, trying to get around Brandon Wilkinson for the 14th position. Wilkinson having a little bit of a quiet run here, has a couple of close calls, but looking to see what he can do as Wally Wilson is up ahead of him as they work through turns 1 and 2.
It's still working here. I mean, we're about to hit the halfway point. If my math's correct, we're 1 lap away from it. Correct me if I'm wrong, math people. But still a very good drive for a lot of people. I mean, we haven't necessarily eliminated the cars that I thought we would eliminate earlier in this race. Kind of thought we would see a little bit more carnage than this here at Phoenix. But halfway through, still have a good majority of the cars still out here running on the lead lap, and still putting down really good pace. I mean, they're not too far off of what they were running to start. And with the fact that the 35 is Schaefer's, I mean, he's just flying.
He certainly is flying indeed, as we see the 20 machine of Christian Marcelli battling with the 15 of Jonathan Jordan, along with Chuck Turner and Renato Pastigo in that battle for the 17th spot as they work their way down the back straightaway. There you see, of course, the driver of Christian Marcelli trying to look to the inside of the 15, not able to make it work this time around.
Not able to make it work, but you have to think he's working this over. He's making him think, making him run a little higher up. He was kind of afraid to cut the low lane of this track, but the 15 hold the surface so far in the 19th position. Just riding along, doing what he has to do. You take a look up here. You have a battle between the 1 and the 5. They've been going at it for a couple laps here this afternoon. The 5's doing what I thought that he was going to do early, and now you see the 9 working his way in there too as Lowry pulled away a little bit.
Lowry has pulled away just a little bit right now as they work their way down the back straightaway. You see Nathan Lyon, Jake Matheson, James Milbachler, Matt Coker now getting involved in this battle for position.
Coker's done a really good job coming through this field. Very patient, calm, cool, and collective, keeping himself in a good position to win this race. And I wouldn't count that 12 machine out. He's been fast. Like I said, every time I see him in a lobby, I know better. You'll race him hard for a couple laps, but then you know he's going to get by you eventually.
He certainly is. Coker has been a long-time competitor here on the iRacing service, and he is one to known to come across and pick up some major wins across the iRacing platform. More known for his short track racing, though, but knows a thing or two when it comes to racing in the ranks of NASCAR. As we see one driver go to the top side of the racetrack, that is going to be Jake Matheson, who's trying to build up some momentum.
Yeah, he'll go up there to that outside lane, and you saw he pulled away from Lyons, had a battle going on with him for a split second. Pulls away, gets almost to the back bumper there of the 5 machine, and he's done a really good job. I mean, just a really good job of holding his own here in that 1 machine, doing everything right, except for going up here and dominating this race. He led for a little bit, but you see the 7, the 5, and the 1 sitting here right together, 1.5 seconds back off the 35 machine. Just riding in a conga line here, just pulling away from 4th or 5th.
Conga line starting to form here as they work their way through 167 laps up on the board as we watch the number 1 machine of Matheson's trying to catch up with Justin Lowry as Milbachler gets around Lyons for 5th position.
Yeah, gets around for 5th. Now, what can the 6 do? We've seen the 6 have early speed. Can he continue the speed? Somebody actually commented in the YouTube chat and said, what's a Cody Ware machine doing? in the top 3. It's been a long time ago since that comment was said, because it's been a long time since we've seen that 6 up here battling in the top 5, much less the top 3. We'll see it eventually, because he's turning some very fast lap times.
It certainly is the case here, as Neil Botchler has led a couple of laps here in the early stages. As he has been one to watch, he's been inside the top 10 pretty much the entire race. We do have a couple of other retirements joining behind the wall. William Bosevert, Jonathan Atkins joins the rest of the field. So we have 27 cars out on the racing circuit, but we have about 23 cars on the lead lap.
Saw right there before we swap back here to the 11 machine, looked like Coker was starting to fight the 9 machine there for a second. Not too sure how that one's going to pan out. Looked like Coker got loose, had to lose a little momentum there, but you see the 29 going underneath. That would be the 10 machine. The 29 got loose there. He's going to stay loose. He cuts the dog leg here, see if he can hold on to that machine. He's going to lose a spot and then be challenged for another position. So he'll sit right there. But, it's 10:45 Eastern time. How does it feel to be Central finally?
It's kind of nice, actually, I have to say. 9:45 Central time right now, and you don't feel really as tired as you would on Eastern time after a long day. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. You've been calling a race, but we've been already calling it for just a little over an hour and 45 minutes currently right now. So still got just about, if the racing pace stays the way it is, just a little bit over an hour left to go in this race. So drivers are trying to battle for position. This is the battle between 11th with, of course, Aaron Brown and Jose Carlos Izquierdo. Throw in Kevin Adams and Zach Lindgreen, and you have a 4-car battle for 9th, as here comes Carlos up through the field. He'll look to the inside of Adams, now set his sights on Lindgreen, and see if he can pick up a couple of spots as they go 3 wide through the dogleg.
Yeah, these drivers have been right on top of each other. I think the radio communication will be just pure respect at the end of this race, because we're 172 laps in, and I feel like we paid attention to this battle more than anything, because they've done moves like that, slide jobs, crossovers, and now once we put the camera back on them, they go single file again. They just hold service. You see smoke up here. It looks like somebody got loose up in front of them, put some smoke on the racetrack. But every time it looks like we put a spotlight on these drivers, they tend to get less racy for us.
Nathan Lyon had a big save out of turn number 4. He loses a couple of spots to Agnell Phillips and Matt Coker, who fall back and move him back to the 8th position as we watch Adams and Lindgreen battle for the 10th spot. Kevin Adams moves up a position as he will have Aaron Brown following him in hot pursuit as they come down across the start-finish line here, and completes the pass as they head off into 1.
Yeah, all of these drivers right here hoping not to burn their equipment up, and they just hold serve, and a lot of them probably just need a caution. I feel like a lot of the pace around this whole racetrack, you look at the leader's last lap time was a 29.4. You go back there to Agnell Phillip, he put a 29.4 down. You have Jake Matheson at a 29.5. Justin Lowry was actually the fastest car on the racetrack with a 3. There is a ton of speed up and down the leaderboard. You go back to 16th with Jonathan Jordan. He put a 29.4 down. So there's speed up and down this track and this leaderboard. They just need track position. Once they get that, I feel like we're going to have a more competitive field than what we're seeing here with the 7 to 12 second gap.
Well, right now we had a change for second place between Lowry and Jack Cohn, who Lowry was able to move up to second place and now has to chase down Chase Schaefer once again. It's a 1.5 second gap between your top 2 right here, and Lowry and Schaefer are running about a 10th off the pace, give the position to Schaefer with a 10th faster last time by, as the field is starting to work their way through. But yeah, everyone's still running, at least your top 10, everyone is running within a 10th to 2/10 of a second as I speak. That Agnell Phillips drops a 29.1 over the rest of the top 10, so he set the fastest lap last time by out of that group.
Yeah, I feel like he gets better as the run progresses, and I've said that. I'm almost positive I've said that over every single long run we've had, is that he has just been very consistent when it comes to putting down lap times, 30, 40 laps into this run. But when you talk about the speed, that last lap Lowry was 0.6 of a second faster than our race leader. I think he bobbled, caught traffic somewhere. He did something wrong. It just, put him in a hole because he's allowing Lowry to catch back into him. And that lap, he pulls away a little bit. We'll see what his lap time was when he comes across the line here. Once it registers for us, he's going to put down a 29.6. He was still 0.2 slower than Lowry. He ran right almost identical to what Cone ran there in the 7 machine.
Caution is out. Zach Lindgren is around on the racetrack, that 85 machine. Or actually the 10 machine on those timing and scoring, but he loops it around on the front straightaway here.
We needed that.
The West Coast native driver looking to see what he can do, and unfortunately gets loose off turn 4 and does a little bit of a lazy slide.
Yeah, we needed that caution. That was a much needed break for a lot of these drivers because their last pit stop was 50 laps ago. So we're in that window. We've seen almost every 49 to 50 laps. We've seen a caution come out. And everybody's going to come down pit road, take 4 fresh tires, fill her up, and see if we can do another 49 laps.
I wouldn't mind trying to maybe a green flag pit stop would be nice, maybe, actually, before this race is said and done, as everyone races to their pit box, as we see them work their way down. Now, for those of you who are new to the world of iRacing, this is technically not the proper way to come down pit road, but they do it. Of course, these drivers can go through each other's cars when they're on pit road. And it looks like a couple of cars may have stayed out on the racetrack. We'll wait and see for sure.
2.
At least 2. 4. Jonathan Jordan and Brandon Wilkinson, Wally Wilson, Johnny McNamara, Justin Keebler all stayed out, as Chase Schaefer, Justin Lowry, Jack Cohn, Jake Matheson, Nathan Lyon round out your top 5 off the race off pit road, as the rest of the field will come down pit road this time around.
Yeah, I will tell you, if they stay on this racetrack, that's a very bold move. I would, there they come, and say I would not have stayed out on this racetrack with the drivers and the speed that's been behind them. But you talked about the special events a little earlier. Our special events for the season's almost over. I think, what's it, 4 left?
There is 3 more left.
Three more to go.
3 more to go. The 10 Hours of Suzuka, which will be happening this coming weekend, utilizing the GT3 cars. Of course, 10 hours around the Suzuka International Racing Circuit in Japan. And then, of course, next up would be the Winter Derby, utilizing super late models at Five Flags Speedway, mimicking, of course, the famed Snowball Derby. And then our last race, special event of the 2022 season, will be the Chili Bowl, which, of course, if you're a fan of dirt racing, that is going to be a fun and exciting racing event before we kick things back off in 2023 with some other great special racing events.
Hey, I lied. How do I get on that? How do I get on the Winter Series? I've always admired the Snowball Derby. We'll see if I can cross some more checklists off of my bucket list. But there's so many. I'll brag on iRacing. I love the fact that we go off of what they do, and we're able to bring the sim world for people who can't go race in those events to come over here and showcase their talents in the eNASCAR and the virtual world, whether it's the IMSA cars when we do the 24 hours of Daytona, the GT3s at Suzuka, we called Nuremberg, called Bathurst, a lot of historical events that we get to do over here on RaceSpot that is just so special for the global community to get to see different flavors of each other's cultures and each other's race styles. It's really cool. It's really, really cool.
It really is. As the lights are out on the pace car, we're closing in on the final few 100 laps left to go in this race. We still got a little bit of ways to go before we hit 200. But as Benny, the pace car driver, makes the hard left turn down onto pit road, he's not been super busy here tonight, but he still had to be put into work. As we go and see Barney the Flagman, the hardest working man in all of iRacing, Waiting and watching up atop the cactus as they head into the restart zone is Schaefer, Lowry leading them to the green as they enter the restart zone. We're back racing at Phoenix here, 183 laps complete out of 312.
Oh, got caught over there. I thought we were about to make an impressive catch with Westbrook and Keenan, but he didn't catch it. But nobody's caught Schaefer either, so kind of mimicking the same with the Titans in the field here as Matheson pulls into P2 with Lyons in third. Good rebound for him, who fell back a couple positions. But you see, who's that? Coker and Phillips still fighting there for the top 5 position.
Yeah, they are certainly starting to fight a little bit further for the top 5 as Matheson will move up to second place. Lyon third. Lowry fallbacks to P4 under pressure from Agnell Phillips as Coker gets in the mix as they come off of turn number 2. How about Jose Carlos Izquierdo, Kevin Adams, and Renato Pastigo battling for 7th?
That battle for 7th, and it's been this hot ticket for this whole race. Seems like everybody wants to be 7th. I don't know why. Every time you get in that position, you see a 2-3 wide fight. But the 11 holds it he holds 8th for the moment. He's going to go after Adam in the 26. As you look at the 18 of Meredith back here in the 10th place position, trying to hold the 37 off and trying to go for that 9th place position. There is so many battles so far here in this from about 10th on back.
There is a lot of great battling here happening all across the racing circuit. We did have another car take it behind the wall. Kenneth Dykey Jr., the number 32 machine, now puts 26 cars out on the track, 23 on the lead lap. Johnny McNamara is currently the last car on the lead lap with Nicholas Patovich, the first car, 1 lap down. As we watch a little bit further back, you see the driver of Michael Meredith kind of battle with Renato Pastigo and Jose Carlos Izquierdo for the 8th spot as they rocket down into turn 1.
Yeah, you see that 18 take that low line and the 11 kind of holding that middle. So many different lanes getting utilized here so far. You see a couple bobbles back there in the mid-pack. Outside still holds the advantage up there with that 11. See if that 18 kind of comes out and pinches it, maybe uses the side draft a tad bit more than what they've been using, especially with that 26 up in front, kind of holding the line up, making him check up a tad bit more. Not traditionally on the bottom. He's a little bit up. He's trying to hold the groove of what Coker's doing up there in front of him. But a lot of staggered lines as they come into 3 and 4.
They certainly are trying to find a line here as we watch Meredith along with Jose Carlos trying to work their way through the field, getting around the driver of Kevin Adams as Jack Coney and Renato Pastigo are battling as well. A close call right there as Meredith gets all over the back bumper of Jose for position, has to back off just a little bit.
Yeah, once we start getting to that 200, 250 time frame, we get about 60 to go, you're going to see a little bit more of that bumper action getting used. Drivers are going to start using each other up a tad bit more, using these stock cars as not weapons, but they're going to use them as a little bit more of a plow to get people up and out of the groove, make them move, kind of dictating where they're going to drive their cars. And especially with the charging in the corners, you'll see a little bit more beating and banging, a little bit more aggression out of a lot of these drivers.
Yes, indeed, a lot of aggression happening here in the later stages of the race, but there's still quite a bit of racing left to go for your drivers as they work their way through. Meredith having a good run on the outside, trying to get some runs building for Kevin Adams to move around the outside way, but so far no avail at the moment as they continue to work their way through, heading off into turn 1.
You see this 3 wide fight right here. None of them have calmed down. I mean, this has just been a battle of attrition between a lot of these drivers. 18 finally holds it off, runs it deep. The 26 sits back there at 9, and the 7s fell back a lot. He was sitting in 2nd not too long ago, and then boom, he's back in the 10th place position, maybe trying to see if he can pull it back up.
Well, as these drivers are currently battling with just under a little over 100 laps to go right here, we are going to let you enjoy the sights and sounds with a RaceSpotTV fan immersion. Enjoying some of the great sights and sounds here at Phoenix Raceway for the iRacing Phoenix Finale special event here for the last race of the NASCAR iRacing Series here on RaceSpotTV. Taylor Burris here along with Terry Radford, our producer Hugo Luis, as we continue to watch the action. It's Chase Schaefer who leads the field here so far by 2.9 seconds over Nathan Lyon. Jake Matheson in third with Justin Lowry, Agnell Phillips rounding out your top five. Coming up, closing in on 200 laps complete. We're now hitting 198 complete right here. Terry, it's been an exciting race so far from start to finish, but no one seems to have anything for Chase Schaefer when they're on even tires.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but he's putting a good old-fashioned ass whooping on him out here. Like, this has not even been fun or close for the race lead. The closest we've seen for a battle has been a restart. But equal tires, when we see them pit together, there's nobody catching him. I mean, he's pulled the longest, the shortest he's had is half a second. It's because he made a mistake. But other than that, he's been just dominating these guys.
Putting on a stellar performance here today as we watch the number one machine of Jake Matheson right there behind him, along with Justin Lowry and Agnell Phillips, all jockeying for position.
Yeah, all these drivers back here trying to get the best out of it. I mean, they're still having good runs. I mean, it's hard to take away and say, oh, a fourth or a fifth is not a good performance, but I mean, they're definitely getting outclassed at the moment, and that's not easy to say because a lot of these drivers are very, very stout across the board, but hopefully they're learning a lot for the week, because I'm sure they'll run again tomorrow during the day at least.
As far as with the official iRacing events, there is the NASCAR iRacing A and A Fixed, A Open and A Fixed events that they could run utilizing next-gen cars here at Phoenix, as they are closing in 110 laps left to go for your race leader as they rocket their way across the start-finish line heading into one.
You see single file here. Nobody stepping out of line to make a pass. Everybody just sitting there. You see Matheson in the one, just kind of hold and serve. You see Agnell Phillips now making a move. There goes Lowry. He's jumping to P2. And he'll get that pass. Agnell Phillips will be to the inside of Matheson in the one. See if he'll make it as he cuts the dog leg here. He goes very, very low. He gets a nose, but I'm not too sure if he's going to clear him here into three.
Going to see what he can do during this stage of the run, as Schaefer still is your race leader by 3.4 seconds and growing. They're approaching the halfway point of the fuel run that we're normally been seeing here. 26 cars out on the circuit, 23 on the lead lap. As we watch Matheson, Agnell Phillips, Matt Coker, and Nathan Lyons all battling for that third spot.
Yeah, that third spot's looking to be the hot ticket. We saw 7th and 8th was the hot ticket to start the race. And now it's P3 as everybody at the moment is chasing Lyons. He ended up getting passed by Lowry. And that's the thing with Lowry is once we've gotten 25-ish laps where we're sitting right now, he's been a lot faster than Schaefer. Don't know if the 35's wanting to save a little bit more or what, but the 5's just had stellar longer in speed. That time he actually matched top 3 or top 2 matched lap times there. So both having really decent pace on this longer stint.
They really have been putting on stellar performance here during the stage of the race as we watch them go battling for position. This is the battle for P3 between Phillips and Lyons. Lyon on the outside, Phillips on the inside, side by side off a turn number 4, and across the line, Lyons holds on over Phillips.
Yeah, but Agnell, he's not going to let up there. He's going to continuously fight into turns 1 and 2. The 9 goes all the way to the wall. He'll rim ride this thing all the way through. We'll see if he can keep the momentum. He does down the straight. Now it's going to be up to Agnell. Can he send it down to the corner? He can, but not good enough. The 9 cuts him off, makes Agnell kind of lift a little bit more than what he wanted, and it stays single file here. The 9 holds off.
9 indeed trying to hold him off right here for Nathan Lyons as he is trying to have a good run through here. Phillips still having a strong and stationary run in that 4th and 5th position. As we see a little further back, a couple of drivers jockeying for position. Wally Wilson, James Botchler has fallen back to 15th. A tough break for him as he'll look to the inside. Slight contact between him and Wilson. That'll push them both up the racetrack here as they come off of turn number 4. Tempers starting to play here as we're closing in on 100 laps to go.
Yeah, welcome to the third phase. Now you made it past the first one where everybody just kind of like chilled out. Everybody did their thing. Second part of the race, everybody's kind of filling it out. You saw your comers and goers start to really make some headway. Well, now we're in the spot where drivers who had a good run early in the race got, put back a little further back than what they wanted. And now they're not going to be too pleased with people racing them hard for a position that they know that they're faster. And that's what you saw right there with the 6 machine. He knew he was much faster. He understood, and there he goes.
Certainly did understand the situation happening for him, and now has to find a way to be able to stay in the mix as we watch a little bit further up the road. A 14 machine coming into play. That is, of course, the lap machine of Nicholas Pavich, who's getting involved in this battle of drivers trying to work their way up through the field. Wilson, Wilkinson, and Bill Botchler all jockeying and battling for that position as Pavich is trying to get his way and stay at least one lap down.
Yeah, if you can keep it at 1 lap down ballpark, you'll be okay if a caution does come out. But I mean, the way we've seen this race, if it plays the way that it has, we'll get about 18 more laps and we'll see a caution, because about 49 to 50 we've seen the cautions come out with the tires wearing out and people spinning off the corners and whatnot. But hold serve, hold it 1 lap, you'll be okay. As we look right here at the 21 of Wilson, still just holding serve.
Certainly is just holding serve indeed for the time being as the field gets themselves situated in this position. As Wally Wilson will fall back in position to the 16th spot. Zach Lindgren moves up to 13. Christian Marcelli holding on to 14th as they still go side by side down into turn number 1 as the 14 of Pavich is still getting involved in this battle. Lap traffic heavy playing into factor here for some of our drivers in this stage as they come off of turn 2. Here comes Wally Wilson. He'll try to find his way through the field in order to get back into the top 15.
Yeah, Wilson's had a good run, just inconsistent all day. And sitting here in the 15th position, you see a driver, is that the 7? It's somebody smoking heavily right there.
That is Jack Conye, who's had some trouble here. He was up as high as 2nd at one point, but now all the way back to 20th position. Take a look and see what happened to him. Just loops it sideways, spins it out, does not make any contact with anyone, but unfortunately, those tires are not happy at the moment.
Yeah, it's the earliest we've seen somebody kind of lose control right there, but good save. Good save. Did you take a look up here at the 9? Trying to hold off Coker behind him, trying to get past Matheson in front of him. I'm still sort of kind of surprised that we haven't seen a whole lot of incidents in this race. I know I brought that out earlier, but we haven't seen a lot of people get aggressive, at least early. And you've seen these drivers come from the back to the front to the back to the front, and still no overly aggressive driving.
Certainly seems to be the case here as more drivers are jockeying for position. Aaron Brown falling back to 18th position. Now 19th as Jonathan Jordan moves up a position as we go into the middle of the field, watching on as the 9 of Nathan Lyon, Matt Coker, battling for the 5th spot.
Yeah, we'll see if he could actually complete this here as Coker's still on the back bumper of the 9. Trying to get by him, but not necessarily holding a good spot to the bottom. Maybe try to outbrake him just a little bit, sail it in just a tad bit more, make him wash up the racetrack and then slide your nose underneath as you get a good run right here. And there he goes. He's going to peek down.
He is going to peek down to the bottom of the racetrack, and he will try to complete the pack. Coaster trying to work his way through, move him up to P5, but Lyons is going to try to power his way back on the outside as here comes Izquierdo for position. He's going to get involved in this 3-car fight for the 5th spot.
Yeah, this battle's heated up as Coker gets by here, and now the 9 is going to have the 11 all over his back bumper. You saw a little looseness, a little bobble out of the rear end there. Off the corner. We'll see as we continue to go. I mean, we're coming down to 100 to go. This race, while it seems like it's been forever, we've been going for 2 hours. We got at least an hour left in us, I guess. But still just trying to hold serve, but the 11's been up and down. If we had a graph of his race all race long, out 3, drops down to 20th, comes back up, drops back down, comes back up. We'll see if he can hold it and stay steady for the rest of this race, and just keep it in the top 5 if he can get back to that spot.
Going to see how this plays out for him as they work their way across the start-finish line. 221 laps completed out of the 312. Still quite a bit of racing left to go for your race leaders as they continue on. 91 laps to go as Schaefer is holding strong as a 1.4 second advantage over Agnell Phillips, who is starting to make up some gains and ground on Chase Schaefer. Last time by, he was about 0.3 of a second faster than your race leader.
Go back to it again. Agnell Phillips has been so much faster than most of these drivers on these longer runs. And we're into that 40 lap range, 42 on the stint of tires. Still clicking them down. I'd be surprised if we stay green to the end, how this race can play out. Because if this race plays out properly, and we stay green to the end, obviously we're going to see a pit stop again. Obviously, probably in another 40 laps, we'll start to see drivers cycle in.
Trouble for one driver. The 28 machine goes around in front of the field.
There it goes.
Caution is out. That is Justin Keebler, who goes around in front of even your race leaders, including Agnell Phillips, as the caution comes out once again.
Just caught the seam. And that stinks, because I felt like if we would have stayed green, we would have saw a good battle between the 35 and the 4.
Certainly was the case indeed for drivers here as they get themselves situated. As that is now going to bring everyone down onto pit road, and everyone's going to put 4 tires in fuel.
Yeah, nobody playing any weird strategies. Everybody comes in, just have a good stop. That's all you got to hope for. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot this late in this race.
No, you certainly do not here, and that's going to cause some big issues here as the stage just goes on.
Hershey number 2 over here.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Eating about half a bowl of candy.
You've gone through half a bowl of candy already?
Yeah. 2 hours in.
Goodness gracious.
Well, I'm also stress eating.
Oh gosh, don't stress eat.
Quick update on the game. Anybody cares. It's 17-17. Stupid penalties in the end zone. I don't understand how a Kansas City player can rip a Titans player helmet off and they call the Titans player for holding. Makes no sense. I'll never understand it. You know, a little biasness for the Chiefs, but, you know, whatever. Rookie quarterback on the road in Kansas City. I'll take a tie ball game in the 4th with 2 minutes to go.
Well, we are approaching the 4th quarter pretty much for here in our race, I'd have to say.
We're close.
We are closing in, and it's still a lot of racing left to go. A lot of things can happen, but Chase Schaefer will win the race off pit road, followed by Lowry, Phillips, Lyon, then it's Matheson. But I see Chase Schaefer. Is he falling back a little bit? No. That's just Jacob Clean and Tyler Gunter and Justin Keebler. Nope, Keebler is going to stay on pit road right now. Those two of Klein and Gunter are going to try to see if they can get one of their laps back. Gunter 43 laps down from the race leader. Klein is currently 13 laps down from your race leader, so they're going to need a lot of help in order to try to get on the lead lap. But with them continuing to stay out, they are finishing a little bit further up the road compared to where they could have been, since a couple of drivers have dropped off the field. And for Klein, he's currently losing about 10 spots, but for Tyler Gunter, he's picking up almost 10 spots with his starting position. So not a bad night for him. It's just a matter of just trying to stay out of harm's way and not lose any more incident points for him.
It's a blessing and a curse with these longer races. Obviously, the sense of urgency isn't like what it is in the A Open. That's not the NIS or the C or the B, because those are much shorter races than this, and everybody on turn one, lap one thinks they have to win the damn thing when you don't. Here at least you have 312, but we're under that 100 lap to go mark. So now the sense of urgency is kind of picked up. Now you have to go get the track position. You have to keep it. You can't just go up there and get it for a lap and then lose it.
No, you certainly cannot, and you got to make sure you put the power down here when the going gets right here for these drivers. As we see Benny the pace car driver is already off the track. Barney the flag man will have the green flag in hand as we get ready to go back racing. Lap 227 about to be complete out of 312, and they're going to go racing down to the dog leg right against that outside pit wall to continue on with this amazing battle we're having as Chase Schaefer, Phillips, Lowry all jockeying for the race lead.
Yeah, still holding for the race lead as Schaefer, he pulls out to right now a 0.3 of a second lap, and the 6. There he goes.
No Botchler getting involved in an incident, but we're going to keep it clean and green so far, but a trouble for a lot of heavy hitters involved in that incident.
Yeah, for the 6 right there, he was already having an up and down day. It's kind of been an up and down race for a lot of these drivers, and now finds himself in a bad situation. He's going to drop outside the top 15 easily. He goes outside the top 20 actually, all the way back he goes. So now he has to work his way up there. He's sitting 15th now, but he has a ton of damage. So I expect for him to continuously fall, and we'll see what the battle here for P2 will look like here in just a little bit.
Currently going to see how this plays out as Schaefer is checked out to an 0.8 of a second lead over Lowry. Lyons and Matheson will battle for third. They'll go side by side as Phillip watches on. Crossover move coming into play as Matheson gets third away.
Yeah, third gets taken by the 1, and the 5 and the 1's had really good short run speed. The 9 hasn't necessarily had that so far in this race. Neither has the 4 machine. So your top 5 has very differing cars, very differing styles. 2 of them like to kind of just be conservative, and then the 2 in front of them like to be a little bit more hard pressed, like to fight for position early. As the 1 goes underneath the 5, the 9's trying to get in there as well.
He certainly is trying to get involved in this battle for position as they head off into turn 1, and Matheson moves ahead of Lowry to move up to second place along with Matt Lyons right there in the mix as they continue to work off turn number 2 here and having a great run to the finish as they come off turn 2. Heading down the back straightaway, here comes Agnell Phillips to the inside of Lowry. Not going to work this time for him. He'll stay tucked up behind the 5 machine.
Yeah, we're going to stay single file. I mean, I don't see any of them going up here and passing the 35 on equal tires. I feel like we're going to have to go green to the end to get a green flag pit stop in before you'll see anybody go up here and maybe contend with them. But you see the 5 and the 4 now in numerical order. The 4 in the 4 spot and the 5 in the 5 spot. in the right spot in the number chain here. Holding serve at the moment. I want a green flag run to the end. I think the 4 wants a green flag run to the end. If you're any of these drivers that's been conservative on your tires from 4th on back, in this race, you want to see a green flag run to the end, because I think they can take advantage of the 35's misfortune on the long run and go up here and give a good competition for this lead.
You certainly can here. We're going to watch that action happen and unfold here as we go a little further back. Matt Coker trying to work his way up through the field as he sits in 7th position. As he's trying to work his way to 6th, getting around Jose Carlos Izquierdo, Kevin Adams in there among the mix, and 26 machines, Zach Lindgren, Renato Pastigo rounding out your top 10.
You see the battle right here. I think that's the 29 getting a little bit of a, not the 29, that's the 12, giving a little bit of a fight here to that 11 machine for a split second. He backs off right here in the dog leg going into turn number 1 and 2. Yeah, there's 1 and 2. Gives it a little fight, goes to the outside. He holds it there. Can't make the pass work. He'll slide it behind, go for the crossover, go to the loose side.
He certainly is going to come into play and do so as they work their way through, having a great battle here for position for 6th spot. As they rocket off across the front straightaway here. The 5 of Lowry getting involved in this mix. Throw in Agnell Phillips. 4 cars battling for the 4th spot.
Yeah, 4 drivers battling for it. You see Matheson, he's starting to fight up there. You see the 6/10 of a second for this race lead. That's the closest that it's really been for anybody that's not been on 12 to 20 lap fresher tires than the race leader. He's starting to close in there, but you see this battle still playing out back here as Coker's trying to make a pass here on that 11 machine for the 6th place position here.
Certainly is the case here as we watch on these drivers jockeying and battling for position here in the stage of the race. And we'll watch here as Coker tries to get around Izquierdo for position. Not going to work this time around as they come across the line. He's going to stay about a car length behind as they head through the dog leg.
Still working. I think 12. If you're the 12 in this position, you don't have to be as aggressive, but you definitely need to make him know that you're there. As he jumps to the inside, put a little bumper to him coming off the corner. Didn't really force him into a mistake, but just allowed him to get the run off the exit of the corner. Lets him shoot down to this dog leg. Try to get the position. They go into the corner, couldn't do it. Here's the battle right here between the 1 and the 9. They caught the leader. They've caught the 35, and now, instead of passing the leader, Matheson and Lyons, they went after it and started to lose a little ground.
They certainly did here as the field is working their way through, trying to get a good run out of turn number 4. Matheson's Lions battling for 2nd, and they're closing in on Schaefer here in this late stage of the race. Down into turn 1, Matheson trying to get a good run through the middle of turns 1 and 2. Not going to work for him this time as Lyons follows on here in 3rd, out of turn 2, down the back straightaway. Here comes Lyons to the inside, but not close enough to make anything work.
I feel like this is what we wanted for the entirety of this race. At 241 laps, this is the first time we've seen an authentic battle for the race lead. It is starting to fade just a tad bit, as right now you're starting to see them fade back again as, well, they burned up a little bit getting up there to him. That time they were a little bit slower than him, only by like 5/100ths of a second. There in the 1, almost caught the wall off the exit of the corner. But still, not a bad race. Now you just have to sit here and just let the race come to you. Don't do anything to put yourself out of position to win this thing. That time by, it was a 10th faster for the 35 machine. So consistency is going to win this race. It's all about how consistent you stay with under, what are we, like 60 laps to go, 70?
Give or take. We're closing in on that stage of the race here as caution comes out.
The 6 again.
It is James Milbasher involved in this one, and he causes a caution here. As we'll get a look at the replay, Wally Wilson involved, Aaron Brown possibly, and it's Wilson and Milbasher out of turn number 2, and possible contact as both of them go spinning around, and boom, hard contact for Wilson as he hits the top of the barrier.
That's a tough fit. I mean, Everybody's got a pit. This is your money stop. If we stay green, this is your money stop.
This is the money stop indeed for all these drivers. We're getting ready to see some more great racing action here as everyone comes down pit road to get service on their machines.
Luckily, nobody stayed out there. I don't believe. Lowry stayed out. Wow, and Jordan and Turner and Brown stayed on the racetrack.
Very interesting calls for some of our drivers here, as we'll see what happens as Lowry stays out along with Jordan and Chuck Turner. Aaron Brown also staying out as Phillips, Lyons, Matheson, Izquierdo were your top runners out off of pit road. Where is Chase Schaefer, the 35 machine? He is out of the race. Chase Schaefer, who is one of your most dominant drivers all night long, has taken it behind the wall, along with Jaden Porter. So now that changes everything as far as the outcome of this race.
Wow.
I agree. Wow, indeed.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Maybe shifted down on pit lane and blew it up. Saw some smoke. I'm speculating here. It's most dominant car out of the race.
That is a tough break indeed for him here today, and an unfortunate situation.
Well, and I mean, now I guess you look at it as who was the second best car?
That's a tough break. Here's a look at Schaefer. Goes in his pit box. Up on the jacks. Still up on the jacks here. They'll go around on the car. Drops it. And disconnects.
Maybe just had a connection issue. You know, that happens.
Connection issue possibly, or some other issues had to be involved.
Be a case of dog unplugged your computer. Something.
Possibility, who knows for sure, but unfortunate for Chase Schaefer. That now changes everything. It's now going to be Lowry, Jordan, and Brown who have yet to pit as the lights are out on the pace car. Agnell Phillips will be having the freshest tires in fourth. Matheson, Lyon, Adams, Izquierdo, Postigo, and Jack Cognier round out your top 10.
Who's the second best car? It's going to be a dogfight now.
Certainly is going to be a dogfight here to the finish as the field makes their way over towards the start-finish line. As they get ready to go back, Barney the Flagman has the green flag in hand. We're about to go back racing here at Phoenix Raceway, and a great jump for Lowry as he pulls out. Now what can Agnell Phillips do with fresh set of tires? He's going to take them 4 wide down into turn 1.
Darn tootin', you're going to have to. I mean, you got to think the biggest competition that you've had is out of this race. You got drivers on old tires. You see the 29 slides up, the 15 slid up out of the groove. Now you got to go chase Lowry down. Whoever gets this race lead, I would almost assume if they're able to stay out front, that's, you know, in this part of the race, that's your competition. As Agnell Phillip goes to the outside, they almost wrecked right there. You got Phillip to the high side, the 9 on the bottom, the 1 in the middle. They know that this is your opportunity to capitalize.
This is the opportunity as here comes Nathan Lyons to the race lead. Phillips, Matheson all getting around Lowry for position with the fresher tires and sends it on in. New race leader for the first time, Nathan Lyons.
Yeah, first time holding this race lead, and so far so good. As now Matheson, he comes up here. He's going to try to take this race lead. He dived it in there, was able to make it stick. He'll get the rotation off the corner. He'll slide up. Oh, the 7 caught the wall. keep it green. Everybody missed him.
4 wide as they headed off into turn 3. How about that?
Yeah, how about it? They held it. Everybody held it serve. Now you see the 1, the 9, the 4 pulling away from that 11 just a tad bit. Just what a crushing blow right now for the 35. I mean, out of the race, and now you just got to think. These are the 3 drivers that fought for second for a majority of this race, and I'm sure they thought they had a chance to win it, but now they definitely have a chance to win it.
They certainly do here as the field gets themselves ready to go and makes the run up through the field here as Jake Matheson, who leads the charge once again as he tries to get the run going for him and starts to pull away, but he's got to deal with Nathan Lyon to the inside. Lions go side by side for your race lead as they head across out of turn 4.
Yeah, the 9 makes the run to the inside, and we'll see if he can make it work. He goes down and cuts the dog leg. You see that momentum he got, cut it just by an inch. Was able to get the momentum to the front. He takes this race lead for the second time here this afternoon. Can he hold it, though? We talked about those drivers. Oh, he caught the wall off the exit. What a hit. And now he's got the 1 checked up behind him. Oh, wait. The last 100 laps of this race is the attrition battle here at the moment.
It is going to be a battle of attrition here as drivers are trying to work their way through down the backstretch heading into turn 1. These 2 heavy hitters are both former drivers in NASCAR competition. They know what it takes to do as smoke off of turn number 2. No contact here for some drivers. That might be Wally Wilson, who takes it behind the wall and ends his night here as we're closing in on starting to run out of drivers in the closing stages of tonight.
I mean, you talked about these 2 drivers in the NASCAR competition. They know, we know how good they are. We see it in their iRating. We see it in how they've conducted themselves in this race right here. You told their stats earlier of how good they are across the NIS platform and how good they've been across their iRacing career. You don't get to 6,600 in the 1 machine in the top split of the NIS fixed race just being an average Joe Schmo. You have to have some consistency. You have to have competitive spirits in you, and Matheson has done that. He comes out here, hasn't had the most perfect race. It's kind of been he's been, 4th, 5th. He's been all the way back in the back. Drove to the front. Is capitalizing on this opportunity with the faster driver up to 35 being out of this race. And now you see he's pulling away, starting to extend it just a tad bit. But is he just the 10, 15 lap fast driver, or can he do what the 35 did and just continue that momentum all the way through to the end of this race and just hold serve and don't let anybody come up there and force you to make a mistake?
Going to keep an eye on seeing what he can do in this stage, but for Jake Matheson in that number 1 machine from Hillsborough, New Hampshire, putting on a great performance here in this stage of the race as he's holding off Nathan Lyons here. And in fact, looking at his career stats in 2022, 240 starts, 81 of those were a chance in victory lane, with 165 of those races in the top 5. And in fact, in the last 10 races he made a start, he ended up winning 4 out of those 10 races. So he is definitely a strong competitor in this world of iRacing, a former NASCAR Series driver. In fact, he competed in 2021 for several different makes here and looking to see what he can do. And of course, knows a thing or two about getting around in the real world as he's picked up a couple of championships in New Hampshire, as he was the New Hampshire Bandoleros champion, U.S. Legends Young Lions national champion as well in 2018, and in 2021 he finished 3rd in the National South Pro All-Star Series with a podium finish back last year.
Wasn't this the battle we wanted to see? All race long, we've kind of sit here and went, I wish we could get a late race run where we see more of these drivers stacked on top of one another. We kept having to look from second on back, and we was like, damn, if we could just, the 35 would just slow down, he would his tires would tear up or something would happen to get this field kind of bunched back together to see what the field could do together. Unfortunately for the 35, it meant that, you know, something happened and he ends up out of this race. But now we're seeing that second on back battle, and you could throw a blanket on the top 6. Or a second separates them. It's anybody's ball game. One bobble from the leader, one punt from the 9 machine or from Agnell Phillip or the 11. Now we get to see also what the 4 can do on the long run. I talked about him 30 laps into the run, showing a little bit more speed and a little bit more pace than the rest of the field. This is what I wanted to see, and I finally get to see it. It's here.
It certainly is here. And speaking of Nathan Lyon, he picked up 550 starts this year in 2022 on the oval side, picking up 80 wins. And out of the last 10 races, he picked up 2 wins, both of them at Phoenix Raceway, but in the Truck Series here on the iRacing service, which you can race here on iRacing. As we watch these two battle, now here comes Agnell Phillips in the 3rd spot. He'll look to the inside of Nathan Lyon.
Yeah, Agnell Phillip gets to the bottom of that number 9 of Nathan Lyons. They're going to go side by side. Nathan almost touches the wall once more. We saw him catch that wall. Now he's going to battle the 11 here for that 3rd place position. It'll allow the 4 of Agnell Phillip to pull away just a little bit as they continue to go side by side to cut the dog leg. I still want to see. You look at the lap times. What can the 4 do on the longer run? He's been the long pace driver. Shameless plug again. What's this going to do for the 4 tomorrow's mindset in the RSR Championship race? Is this going to give him the upper hand to go in there? He's going to have to find short run pace. I think we're going to have a caution again, but he's going to have to find some short, just burn off speed real quick. Because I think this is going to come down to like a 5-10 lap shootout, and I don't think he has it. I would go with the 1.
Well, for Agnell Phillips, the driver for the A51 Pro Team, he is currently sitting in 2nd. He's picked up 14 wins here out of the 114 starts in 2022, and picked up 2 wins in the last 10 races he started in. In fact, one of those races he started on pole, led every single lap back at Homestead, and then he won also here at Phoenix. So he knows a thing or two about getting around this circuit and looking to see what he can do in the closing stages as he hunts down Jake Matheson's.
Yeah, he's got pace anywhere he goes, and you see 2 very, very solid racers fighting for this win. I mean, yeah, we're 267 laps into this 312 lap race, but these are just really fast and competitive drivers. I mean, you look up and down this leaderboard, you think 66.91, 64.21. The 9th driver in this race is a 51.51. If that didn't tell you the stackness of the competition, that's your 9th driver. The 11th, the number 11 is a 5K. Like, that's wild in amongst itself. Is that the fall off from that there is 1,600 in between them. That shows you the competitiveness in this field and why this is the best of the best, other than the Coke drivers. But I feel like these drivers could compete with some of those guys over there.
Well, they're really showcasing a lot of talent here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what some of these drivers do. As the caution is out for Nicholas Patovich, he got back on the lead lap and now sloops it around here as we are under caution once again. As we are closing into the nitty-gritty of tonight's race. 43 laps to go as we'll take a look and see what happened to Nicholas Patovich. As everyone's coming down pit road, here comes Patovich off of turn 2. And just loops it around and right in front of, I believe, that was going to be the 20 of Christian Marcelli, who nearly had a close call as everyone comes down pit road, except for one driver by the looks of it, Chuck Turner in the 34.
Told you this would come to a short run. 43 laps would be one of the shorter amounts that we've seen for these drivers. I still think it kind of falls into the one's hands if he holds and retains this lead here.
Certainly going to see what he can do in these closing stages. 270 laps here, or about 20 minutes, as they race off pit road. It's Matheson's, Phillips, Lyons, Izquierdo, and Coker, your top 5, as Chuck Turner pulling some major strategy games to see if he can hold on to the race lead here. But it's going to be a tough call for him as he sits up with 25 lap older tires.
Yeah. I'd imagine he's coming down, and he is. I don't see coming down, not coming down pit lane here would be a smart strategy for the 34 of Turner as he comes down, hands the lead back to the 1 of Matheson. Holds us right on serve. 43 laps. Well, we'll be a little bit under, right at 40 to end this race. This has been entertaining.
It really has been entertaining, and it's been an exciting race here to round out the NASCAR iRacing Series event. After this race, pretty much for the NASCAR iRacing Fixed and Open Series, the NASCAR B Open, and the NASCAR C Open, it'll be pretty much then going into a winter calendar, which will pretty much lead all the way up into the start of the new 2023 NASCAR iRacing Series for each of the respective classes, which will be exciting to see as we look forward to the future of what it holds in the world of iRacing in 2023. But overall, been a great season. I mean, I have to look to you, Terry, your final thoughts closing in on how these next-gen cars have been racing on the iRacing service since they've been added on back in 2021, but really been the main focus as of the start of 2022.
Well, they were hard to figure out at first. At first, you start racing them, you're like, what is this? You know, what am I driving? But then once you start getting used to them, you start figuring out, okay, I have to shift more. The aero balance of these cars is a whole lot different than the previous generation of cars on the service. I kind of wish that I had more time to sit in here with the car and learn more, but unfortunately, a real life job takes me away from getting to put the time that some of these drivers get to put in. But these things are fun to drive. They're very hard to upset. Very hard to upset somebody else, which kind of stinks because it takes that intimidation factor out of it.
It certainly has been an exciting year so far, and we look forward to seeing what the future holds as the pace car is off pit road. We're about to go back green flag racing. Chuck Turner did come down pit road, so that now gives Jake Matheson's the race lead once again. As we're about to go back green flag racing here, we're racing with under 40 laps to go here at Phoenix Raceway. 40 laps left to go in the season as they rocket down into turn 1.
Yeah, the 1 got a massive restart there over Agnell, Phillip in the 9 of Lyons. But don't forget, there's Coker right there in the 4th place position. I said before, don't count him out. He still has an opportunity to win this thing. He was decent on the long run there in the early part of this race. We'll see now what he has for the top 4 as he finally creeps his way up here.
Great racing action as they head off down into turn 1. Postigo is in a battle as trouble caution is out. Kevin Adams and several others as another big one happens here at Phoenix. There is, of course, a couple of drivers involved. Nicholas Patovich, Randy Postigo, Zach Lindgren, Kevin Adams, Michael Meredith, all involved.
Well, then now we start putting the used car lot together as just loses it, bam! Nowhere to be found for the 10. Just gets collected in somebody else's mess, and the 26 getting loose on the outside, and that's the race over. We're going to start seeing a lot more of this now that we're coming down to the closing little stages of this race.
Pretty much it's safe to say that's all she wrote.
All she wrote. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, Kevin Adams just gets loose right in front of the field and unfortunately collects several drivers. And now the question is going to be who will be able to fix their cars and continue on, and who will be taking it behind the wall to end their night. Breathe, Terry, breathe.
Yeah, I would imagine that the water hits different when it's 17-17 with 4:16 to go in overtime. And then, we're closing in here.
the ending of this. So it's two important things on my end here, calling NIS and getting to see my Titans hold the Kansas City Chiefs off. They could just stop that darn Patrick Mahomes. That dude's like a wizard. It just runs all over the field, just makes plays with his eyes shut. I wish I had that kind of talent and athleticism still. My legs and hips start hurting once I start moving to the left and right that fast. But I mean, this race, I can't praise iRacing enough. And no, for people watching, I don't get paid to talk, great about the service. But if people are out there and they're like, I saw a comment, NJM asked, how do I join the race stream? iRacing.com. I mean, that's your portal across the board to get a part of this. To you might find a knack in commentary. You might find a knack in racing. You might find a knack in something. This is it. I mean, this is the top form of e-motorsports. There's console, any other simulator. There really isn't anything that compares to this, especially in the different disciplines that you put on iRacing that you can just go out and master. I mean, I watched a Pro 4 race the other night, Taylor, and I was like, how do they do it? Like that's foreign to me to see people drive like that and be able to control those things.
It takes a lot of great skill and a lot of amazing talent and hard work to really get into it, just like what you see in the real world. The only thing is, it's all from the comfort of your own home or office, depending on where you are located at, where you can do this kind of racing. And the good news is, it's a lot cheaper than having to go out there and racing a real car if you choose to do so. And who knows, amazing opportunities. I mean, think of this: 3 drivers who competed in each of the 3 national divisions in NASCAR. You have Ty Majeski, who was a late model racer and worked his way through, was one of the highest I ratings at one point on the iRacing service. Went to go compete for a championship. Unfortunately, finished 4th in the championship after some issues. Josh Berry, who of course had a dominant season in NASCAR Xfinity Series, came home 4th in the championship, but still managed to compete in that Final 4. And then, of course, you had, Ross Chastain, who utilized some amazing video game style moves, and of course came home with a 2nd place in the championship. So it does, and of course there's other drivers who competed in NASCAR to this day who have utilized iRacing at one point or another. One of the drivers I can think of is William Byron here, as we're getting ready to go back racing here at Phoenix Raceway. But who knows, maybe one of these drivers in this field or someone in the future could maybe one day start off strictly on iRacing and maybe have a chance to go out and work their ranks through the world of oval racing to compete at the highest level of NASCAR in the future. As the field makes their way to the restart zone, it's Matheson's and Phillips who will lead them. We're racing once again here at Phoenix, under 40 laps to go, and it's already going to be a drag race to the bottom of the racetrack here through the dogleg as they approach over to turn 1.
It was a massive start for Lyons on the bottom. That 9 machine shot out like a rocket and put himself in that P2 position as Agnell Phillip tries to go back to the bottom, tries to pull the crossover, goes to the inside down the front straightaway, or back straightaway. Man, I hate this flip-flop track thing. Phillip goes to the bottom, goes to the restart zone there. It's going to kind of work him up the racetrack, then push it back down to the bottom, trying to utilize the side draft as the 3 best drivers in now this phase of the race fighting it out for the win.
They are really starting to do so here as the field of drivers starts to get themselves situated towards the back half of the course, heading down into turns 3 and 4. Drivers really trying to find a way to hold on here in this stage of the race. 280 laps up on the board as they come out of turn number 4 across the start-finish line here, down to the bottom of the racetrack. Phillips trying to get a run on Matheson. Here comes the Lions with a head of steam, side by side for the race lead.
Here goes Agnell Phillip finally to the bottom. I said he had to find some short run speed, and maybe he was listening. Maybe somebody got in his ear and said, hey, that Terry guy that calls your race on Monday, he's kind of saying you need to find some speed somewhere on that short run. That pace isn't there in the early part. You got to have a lot of laps behind you. And he started to find it there. Got to the inside, couldn't make it stick. But that showed promise that maybe he had a little bit more in him, that he could go up here and challenge for this race lead as he beat him in the entry, but he's getting beat center off there by Matheson.
He certainly is, and this is going to change a lot of things here as Matheson tries to hold on. Phillips still trying to make sure he can stay up to pace here with Lyons hot on his heels. Here comes Izquierdo and Coker as they also get involved in this battle.
Yeah, now you see the 11 getting in here, the 12 starting to come up here. You see the battle for the lead heating up once more as the Ford went down to the bottom, couldn't get a good handle on it, couldn't figure that one out. And now he goes up to the middle lane, tries to get the run off the exit. They're pulling away. Here comes Agnell. He went to look to the inside, wasn't going to make it stick, wasn't going to do it. But these two are putting on a show, man. We're getting close down to, I think we're about, 30 to go? And they're right on top of each other.
They certainly are right on top of each other, and this is going to get exciting as the caution is out. Justin Keebler involved in this incident by the looks of it. As he loops it around the 28 machine.
And we'll see what the replay of the caution here. Take a look. Oh, he just loses it again. Hey, good little 360 there.
Good little 360 indeed, but is able to gather it back up and get themselves ready to go.
Oh, slight contact. That's what brought it.
Multiple cars involved in that contact. Been a bit of a very exciting night here so far for your drivers as they are working their way through here. Closing in on the final few laps here at Phoenix Raceway. If we get to go back green flag racing, just as I say, 15 minutes left to go on the clock here for drivers. They will circle around probably another 2 more times around the circuit before we go back green flag.
You imagine this race ending on time? I don't think we predicted that one coming a thing. I'm showing 12 minutes to go on my timing over here. So,
well, you got to throw in if we have another caution or so in between.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. By the way, quick update: Titans lost. Field goal. This is crazy because the Titans game was in the second quarter by the time this started, so that shows you how long the game goes. But you know, we're almost done. It's almost midnight Eastern time.
Yep, closing in on almost 11 o'clock here Eastern or Central time as well for the moment. So things ever so much changing as we progress through the day.
Luckily, we got an hour extra sleep.
Yes, indeed. So for those of you who hopefully didn't forget, make sure to turn your clocks back before you go to bed tonight.
Somebody will wake up panicking in the morning like, oh, I'm late for work. No, just kidding, you're an hour early. I wonder what our producer's time is. I'm sure he's
a few hours ahead of us.
He might have fell asleep.
It's currently 1:54 in the morning for him.
Yeah, he's tired. Our bad, Hugo.
Iron Man Hugo, I should have to say.
Iron Man. Hey, he's only got me by an hour, so or 2. Yeah, about an hour.
Well, you got to think that he's been involved with other stuff going on today too.
That is true.
IMSA Championship Series happening earlier today. You had the Open Wheel 500 this weekend. I mean, he's been a busy man. Of course, probably one of the hardest working men in RaceSpotTV.
That is accurate. I know. Past couple weeks, I've been super sub. I have a little PRL action all week. Another shameless plug for our 5 nights of PRL. Pulled 4 of them out. RSR, and then here we are on we'll be 2 hours, almost 3 hours in to this.
And we're about to go back green flag racing here once again, as we are closing in to the final 20 laps to go, 24 laps left to go currently right now for your race leader, as it's Matheson and Phillips leading into the green flag. Through into the restart zone they will go, as we're about to go back racing here. Green flag is out, and it's a final dash to the finish here as Matheson and Lyons pull out ahead. Phillips gets into third position, but here comes James Milboschler. He's now back into the mix after falling outside the top 10 at one point.
That's a shock. He took a lot of damage there, and he's still up here fighting for it. He's in fourth, going for it, man. For the one, he pulled away pretty quick. He jumped out there to a pretty healthy lead right there. But kudos to the six, fighting, hanging in there, doing what he had to do.
Not give up attitude here in the closing stages of this race. He is going to be fighting his way through the field here, as we have 23 cars out on the track currently, 20 on the lead lap as they battle here. Here comes Milboschler to the inside of Izquierdo for the fourth spot, down to the inside. How about Aaron Brown getting involved in the mix?
Yeah, the 29 got caught up in a couple incidents, and now he finds himself back up here holding serve. And I mean, he's sitting in the sixth place position. It's a really good iRating day for him. I mean, a 4K, nothing to hang your hat on and say, oh, you know, whatever, a 4K. He's there. He's still doing what he has to do. It's to be a good iRating day for him to say he beat some of these drivers. But battle for the lead's tightened up. I mean, it is tightened up big time. It's a 1/10 of a second. And he's there. And now it's a battle of who wants it more.
It is going to be a battle of who wants it more here in this stage of the race as they make the run down into turns 1 and 2. It's Matheson, Phillips, and Lyons, your top three. Izquierdo, Milboschler, and Brown battling for the fourth and fifth spot here, as here comes Matt Coker up a spot.
Yeah, Coker's up to spot, but it's nose to tail. 1, 2, 3. Sitting here. Can Agnell Phillip get to the inside? He can. He's there, but can he make it stick? That's the real question. We've seen this before. He couldn't. He washes up there just like he did before, but this time he backed it up. Can he get the run off the exit? He stays with a door on him. He's got a fender now, and now he's still there. He's going to make a charge at it.
Makes the charge to the inside. Matheson holds strong on the outside, but here comes Phillip with a head of steam to cross the start-finish line. Phillips right there to the inside as they go through the dogleg, but Matheson still holds on to the race lead as they signed it into turns 1. Phillips putting the pressure on as he tries to push Matheson up the racetrack. Matheson does not give an inch as they come out of 2.
And this is a respect level. These two have raced each other quite a bit. And that's not me, guessing. That's me saying, hey, these drivers, there's no way that they're racing with this much respect with one another to not have been at some point in time over the radio having a conversation, because, I mean, this is clean racing at a short track, low speeds, not shoving each other up the racetracks. They're still side by side here coming off the exit of turn 2, and just hanging on each other's doors, pushing each other down the track, pushing each other up the track, doing everything but making contact here. This is just phenomenal racing to end this race.
It certainly is here in the closing stages as they come across the line side by side for the race lead between Matheson, Phillips, and Lyons as they head down into turn 1. You see Phillips pushing Matheson's up the racetrack, opening the door for Lyons to get involved in the mix as they come out of turn number 2, still side by side for the race lead.
Yeah, you see Lyons. He's kind of hoping that they push each other up the track a little bit more as Phillip gets to the bottom. If he could just stop washing up the track, if he could stop pushing through the center off, I think this will be a much closer race for the 4 to get up here and take this lead. But he's pushing too hard here. He's wanting to get the most out of that car, which, I mean, we're coming down to 12 to go. You got to take what you take, and right now he's taking it. He's taking the fight to Matheson. Still side by side, hanging on that door, coming to the start-finish line, put 298 on the board.
298 up on the board here as they continue on to race their way through the racing circuit and heading down into turn 1. Here comes Phillips to the inside. He manages to hold the lead, but here comes Lyon. Are we going to see 3 wide off 2?
Hell yeah. Come on.
Here they come. Here comes Matheson to the outside.
Yeah, you should have set that sucker 3 wide, Lyons. Come on. Let's see it. He's there. I mean, your nose to tail all the way across the boards. You've been there.
And the caution is out.
Why? Who wrecked?
I think it might have been Patovich who might have been involved in this one. We'll wait and see for sure when we get the replay, as we're now closing in on 12 laps to go, as Benny, the pace car driver, really sends it on in through 1 and 2.
He's tired of playing, too. He wanted to see that battle.
And Patovich around after some contact with a little bit of help, but he's manages to almost save.
He had it saved.
Why?
The one stayed out.
Big call for Matheson to stay out, along with a couple of other drivers, including Izquierdo, Adam, Kleber, Postigo. All of them coming down pit road or staying on the racetrack, as everyone else is going to come down and take forward tires and fuel.
That's a big oof.
Big oof indeed. We'll see how that goes.
Nah, it's not going to go well. I mean, 31 laps on your set of tires. I wouldn't have done it. Who won the race off pit road? The 9.
Ethan Lyons winning the race off pit road.
Oh no! I think Agnell Phillips sped. It's dropped to the end.
Take a look at the replay, see what happened to Agnell Phillips.
No way he didn't speed. I think he sped trying to beat the 9 off of pit road right there. And now it's a drop to the end for the 4. And this is the 9's race to lose. You're the first driver on fresh tires. Unless you get turned here, which isn't out of the question. You're going to take the green flag with 10 to go. There's no way that the 1's holding him off. I think right here is where he gets it. You see he sped up, and then he slowed down, and then he just stopped because he knew. That stinks.
Tough break indeed here in the closing stages.
Yeah, I don't know why the 1 stayed out there. It's tough. I mean, maybe he's thinking we're going to get under the caution, potentially just a wreck to the end, or maybe he's counting the time like we are, and he thinks we're going to get a couple more cautions to end this under time.
Well, that's not going to make a matter of as far as ending under time. Because this race will continue on all the way to the end, as long as the laps finish up. It's just a matter of just seeing how this race plays out, as we're going to go back racing with 9 laps or 10 laps to go here for your drivers.
This is going to be wild. Because, I mean, to be real with you, you're going to have the 11 on the outside, 33 lap old tires, 27 lap old tires for the 26. Then you got 2 16-lap tires between the 28 and the 16, and then you go to the 9 right there, and he's the 3rd car on the outside. That might be what bites him in the butt, is it allows the bottom, the 15, to maybe come up here and take advantage and shoot it 3 wide.
Well, with that, Benny, the pace car driver, pulls off pit road, as we're going to have a 10-lap shootout to the finish. Matheson and Izquierdo are going to lead them to the green flag with Adams and Keebler, as Matheson checks out quickly and tries to pull away from the field and checks out on the rest of the field. Now what can Lyons do as he tries to quickly work his way up to the field? He's already up to P3 before they get into turn 1.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a wreck in the back, but no caution on that one. The 6 makes contact there, and it shoots the older tires of the 26 out of the way, kind of making quick work of that. But, the 11's getting turned.
Oh, more trouble a little further back as Izquierdo saves it. Beautiful job, but he's going to fall back. We're still going to keep it clean and green here as the field now tries to watch the battle between Matheson's and Lyons. Lyons really putting the pressure on as he is closing in, along with Milbachler, who's in the mix as well, as they make the run off turn number 2. And it's about a 0.2 of a second lead gain over Matheson and Lyon. Lyon's faster last time by. 0.4 of a second separate your top two as they come out of turn 4.
I think what's going to separate this one is how hard the 1 blocks the 9 to allow the 6 to gain in this fight for the win. That's going to be the biggest hold. You still got Coker right there as well in 4th. He could also be a big factor in this if the 1 decides to block, in which I expect him to. You see him right here swerving back and forth. He knows what's on the line. He understands, and he'll fight it off the exit. He might push up just a little bit to kind of hold that momentum. Still holding serve on the bottom.
Caution is out here for Nicholas Patovich.
Oh, the 1.
Once again, hard into the outside wall, as I think Matheson will hold off Lyons for the race lead for the time being.
What happened here?
Did he have a little help? Yes, he did. And pretty much a accordion effect. Multiple cars involved. Besides Patovich, you had Chaffee as well as Izquierdo involved, but Agnell Phillips was one who started that chain reaction.
Tempers.
Tempers flaring indeed.
What could make this race longer?
Another caution.
I don't say that.
Well, we just did have another caution, so I have to say that.
It sounds like we're gonna have another.
Well, if you...
We'll blame you for the next one.
No, we will not blame you for the next one.
We'll think of something. I don't know who to go with here. I think the 6 could be aggressive. The 9's going to be aggressive. The 6 is obviously going to get the advantage of having the restart on the bottom with the 1. Still not too sure if his speed's there 100%, but he's fought the entire race. Caught up in a couple incidents, but just continue to grind. And he's sitting here 3rd with a chance to win it.
Certainly is the case here as we watch on here. Field now working their way through as the 22 of Jacob Klein will get one of his 9 laps back, so he'll now be 8 laps down instead of 9. Currently have 19 cars on the lead lap. Aaron Brown, the last one on the lead lap. He's down on pit road, though. Waiting to see if he will go a lap down, possibly. As we have 23 cars still out on the racetrack. Here are the following drivers who have taken it behind the wall. Wally Wilson, Chase Schaefer, Jaden Porter, Kenneth Daiki Jr., William Balsavert, Jonathan Atkins, Caleb Gilbert, Joseph Burton Harris, Kwame Scott, Sean Rogers, Shane Van Gisbergen, Noel Farigo, Adam Benefield, and Jacob Potak are the other drivers who did not finish tonight's racing action. As we are closing in to a possible green-white checkered. Well, Terry, thoughts on this as this is coming to a close?
Wild and entertaining, to say the least.
I have to agree.
Yeah. I didn't, I guess I didn't expect a midnight show, but, you know, we're there.
We are. So for those of you on the East Coast, good morning. Those of you in Central West Coast time, you still have at least another hour.
And those of you, the UK, for Hugo, right? Is it just the UK?
No, Hugo is in Brazil.
Oh, so for our Brazilians, good morning.
They've already been in the morning.
By a long shot, you've been in the morning. Good morning to the Brazilians.
As lights are out on the pace cars, so we may have a natural green-white checkered.
The one's got to get a good restart here. He's got to do what he did
does.
on that last one. He's got to do what he did on that last restart and hope that the 6 and the 9 have some issues.
He's got to see what happens here as they will lead him down into turns 3 and 4 into the restart zone. It's Chevy, it's Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford, your top 3. Then another Toyota. Then you have the Ford of Postigo right there, and a little bit of jumping and green flag, and Matheson gets a great jump over Lyons and Mill Botchler. Now it's going to be finding out who comes out on top as they cross the start finish line, heading down into 1. They just have to take the white flag to end the race here, and it's going to be a mad dash as they come out of turn number 2 down the back straightaway, and it's about a 0.4 of a second lead. Matheson's over Lyons.
That's what he needed. He played a couple mind games on that restart there, kind of checked him up, backed it down, went for it. It's 0.3 of a second. White flag is in the air. This race is official, regardless of what we do. It's 0.3 of a second. That one might not be as crazy as I thought. He might hold this off.
White flag in the air for Jake Matheson's in the number 1 machine. He'll try to continue to hold on as they come out of turn number 2. Matt Coker coming into play here as they come out of the final corner down the back straightaway through turns 3 and 4. Jake Matheson pulls off beautiful strategy as he will win the season finale as they wreck coming across the line.
4X, 8X, 10X.
12, 17, 24.
What a shame to cross the line and jump in the field, essentially. Like, you go all race long without an X, and then you get an 8, 10X maybe at the end of this, because if you see people backing into the fence. What a strategy call from the 1. I mean, perfection. I scratched my head at it, but hell, he made it work.
And
burn her down.
Jake Matheson's will take home the final NASCAR iRacing Series event in the books, completed here, as he will win the final race week, as this will wrap up the 2022 NASCAR iRacing Series Fix Championship, as he will burn it down here on the front straightaway in celebration with the smoke show for all of you watching here on RaceSpotTV.
That's, and he jumped to 6,700 with that, which was pretty cool. But what a win! Like, old tires by a lot, 31 lap older tires, and wins it.
He's gonna go try to find his way over into victory lane.
He knows a thing or two about victory lane around here.
He certainly. I don't think the 15 does, as he walks his way up
lost.
to. Yes, he is lost. As Jake Matheson parks it there in victory lane as your race winner. In celebration, he will take home the victory. Jake Matheson's in that number 1 Toyota. And with that, let's go ahead and give you your full results. Of course, Matt Coker picking up the fastest lap of the award with a 27.29 on lap 304, so really dropping the hammer in the late stages. But it's Matheson, Coker, Lyons, Mill Botchler, Lowry, Wilkinson, Agnell Phillips, Postigo, Marcellio, and Meredith, your top 10, as it's a well-represented group in the top 10. Then it's Izquierdo, McNamara, Jordan, Chaffee, Adam, Keebler, and then Brown, Patovich are the last cars on the lead lap, 18 of them. Then Jack Cognier will be the first car 1 lap down, with Jacob Klein rounding out your top 20. 21st will be Chuck Turner with Zach Lundgren, Tyler Gunter, Wally Wilson are all the other drivers who did not finish. Chase Schaefer, who was one of your hardest chargers and front runners in the early stages, unfortunately could not finish the race. Jaden Porter, Kenneth Jakey Jr., William Bosvert, Jonathan Atkins, Caleb Gilbert, your top 30. Then it's Joseph Burton Harris, Kwame Scott, Sean Rogers, Shane Van Gisberg, Noel Farrigo, Adam Benefield, and Jacob Potak. Rounding out your 37-car field, as this concludes the NASCAR side of things, but we still have 3 other special events. The Suzuka 10 Hours, which will be this coming weekend, utilizing GT3 cars. The Winter Derby, which will be on November 26th, utilizing the super late models at 5 Flags. And then December 18th, it will be the Chili Bowl, utilizing the midget cars at the Chili Bowl on December the 18th. Terry, final thoughts before we head off here and go to bed by the sound of it for some of us.
This was exciting.
I can't wait to hopefully be on the call for the 20th and 21st special event here for iRacing on RaceSpot. Those two are two incredibly special and just incredible shows that you get to see here on the iRacing platform. What a win by the one, great strategy. It hurts me for the 35 because I felt like that was the guy to win. Hats off to Chase. I hope to maybe catch him on Twitter and see what happened, because I really want to know.
Well, with that, it is time that we come to a close. For my co-host Terry Radford, our producer Hugo Luis, I'm Taylor Burris. Thank you so much for watching RaceSpotTV coverage of the iRacing special event, the Phoenix finale, to conclude the NASCAR iRacing series here in 2022. We'll look forward to seeing you and Suzuka. Thank you for watching.